Hey everybody, it's Leroy from Leroy Gaming, and welcome to my ultimate guide to the Aeon Mythic Path. So in this video, you're gonna basically learn everything you want to know about the Aeon Mythic Path. We're gonna start by showing you the unlock, and beyond that, because it's rather simple, we are actually gonna take you from the very beginning of the game until the penultimate event in the game. We're going to go over the various story elements that are related to the Aeon, the different choices, the various unit choices for the Crusade system. We're going to not only talk about the options, but I'm going to show you in combat and give you reviews of them. And then, of course, we're going to show you the final transformation and some of the unique kind of interesting options that you can take as an Aeon. It is a pathway that I found more interesting than I had expected, and I think you will enjoy it as well. Now, I did initiate a slightly different format. Instead of reading absolutely everything, which made my other videos 4 or 5 hours long, I have chosen to read select content that when it came to very key moments. And in other situations, I have gone ahead and basically paused for a moment so you guys can pause and read the content yourself if you want. But for those of you that want me to move a little faster, it moves the videos along a little bit more. In addition, you have the timestamps in the description that you can use to get the most out of this video. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, as always, please do like, subscribe. These videos take a tremendous amount of time and energy. And so if you do like this and have feedback on how I can make the experience even better for you, please do leave a comment. Not only does it help my metrics to get these videos seen better on YouTube, but also I value your feedback. So with that being said, with no further interruptions, let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at my ultimate guide to the Aeon Path. Okay, so your path to the Aeon begins in the Market Square in Act 1. And the good news is that this is the only thing you're going to need to do here to unlock this. The bad news is if you miss this, then you miss your opportunity. So for those of you who don't know, this is the Market Square. And basically to get there, this is where you start out when you get into Market Square. You're just going to go straight down here, fight some enemies, and then here there's going to be a little interaction. And it's going to basically allow you to make this pathway. You're going to go through here. Up here, you're going to have an interaction, like the little Inquisitor guy. And then you go straight down here. And then you need to make sure to interact with this. And let's take a look what this looks like. Now, I'm not going to read through all of this here, but I am going to leave it on screen if you go, in case you want to read it. But basically, what you're going to see here is an introduction to the Aeon. And then when we click here, what past does the Aeon see? It basically shows you the past of what the Aeon. And the original Aeon got basically slaughtered by Discari. He was, he's found wanting, basically. So that was unfortunate. And then what present does he see? When you go over that, here's the text for this. And this is the current present state of the Aeon, and you're gonna receive the purple stone knife. Very important, hold on to that. Make sure you don't lose it by any means. And then you're gonna ask, what future does he see? And so basically it's a bit uncertain, but basically the Aeon is all about law. It's all about bringing law and order to the universe. Anything that is chaotic, and especially that wasn't supposed to be chaotic, it is the job of the Aeon to kind of make it so. So it kind of gives you the story here. And then basically, you have a choice to make here. Do you retain the Aeon's power within yourself or allow the Aeon's power to dissipate? So basically, this dying Aeon, it's just got a semblance of energy left and you have the chance to absorb it. And again, this may sound obvious, and it is. Make sure you select the option 1. If you select option 2, you'll permanently lose access to the Aeon path. Select that. And there it goes. The Aeon's energy goes into you, and you're going to be basically set for all the prerequisites you need for Act 1 in order to become the Aeon. And now we will go ahead and fast forward all the way to Act 2. And so what's going to happen is you can play normally. I recommend playing lawfully because this is a true kind of lawful playthrough. If I were to give it an alignment, it is true lawful. So you can go lawful evil, you can be lawful good, it does not matter, you can be lawful neutral. Just I would recommend if you want to stay in character, you want to lean towards lawful actions. Now, in Act 2, once you make your way towards Drezen, you're going to invade Drezen. It does not matter necessarily how you approach this. Again, I would just say use common sense of staying lawful to become in character, and then you're going to make your way all the way up here. And I will go ahead and share with you guys kind of the unique event that's going to occur when you choose the Aeon pathway. So the legendary banner of the Crusader is right in front of you. A drop of blood falls into it from where? The wound on your chest must have reopened and is now bleeding again. So now we will go ahead and touch the banner and you make your choice. Now this will show you all the mythic paths you have unlocked. For those that are new to the game, Angel and Demon are automatic options. And then like in this playthrough, I had unlocked Aeon and Azada. I'll be doing a separate video for the whole Azada playthrough as well, because that one's really fun. So go ahead and select Aeon, and you can pick your first choices. So you guys can do that however you see fit. Now I do want to point out that later in the video, I will go over all of the options here. And I also have a separate video that kind of covers this as well. But if you want to see everything together, including the final transformation, you can check out the timestamps later in this video to check that out. And here's the awesome animation. The wound on your chest closes and the drops of blood spilled on the Sword of Valor burst into transparent flames. A wave of fire rushes out from the blood and across the entire banner, transforming it and emblazoning it with new colors. Power descends upon you, sufficing your immortal body, remaking it in its image. It fills your body up to the brim, breaking bones and tearing muscles while at the same time healing them. You raise your head, acutely aware that you've been blessed to mete out justice, maintaining the stability of the cosmic order from here to eternity.
I'm genuinely glad we are on the side of the law now. Demons are truly deserving of punishment, aren't they? Let's direct our righteous zeal at them.
I love her kind of sarcasm and snarkiness here of sorts, and also fear. I'm not going to spoil her story for you guys, but holy moly is she interesting.
I fully approve of your aims and methods.
And so just like any path, depending on who's in your group, you're going to get feedback of what they think of your decision. All right. So now, like with the other paths, we're going to have a unique banner look. So here's the banner of the Aeon. Now also notice the demons, anything that is chaotic in nature is going to have this kind of constellation look, including any NPCs, so you can tell if somebody's chaotic. So clearly all your soldiers are nice and lawful. Alright, now once you return from Drezen and have all the little automatic events occur, you're going to go into the Citadel, and then in the Citadel you actually want to go into your bedroom. And again, I noticed that unique to any other playthrough, you're going to have this mirror that's going to be interactive. So go over here and it's going to initiate the interaction. As you're leaving, you notice movement in a reflection of a mirror that stands in the room. As you come closer, it seems as if the reflection, the mirror's surface is changing, revealing a starry sky. Maybe it's a trick of the light. Specks of dust illuminated by the glow of a torch. But no, your eye is drawn to a cold, white star within the depths of the mirror's surface. The bright, flickering light pulsates in the perfect time to the beat of your heart, and even your breathing attunes to its steady rhythm. The outline of your reflection has not disappeared, and you can see it if you focus your gaze. But unlike you, your reflection does not blink. Where you would expect the eyes to be, there are only nebulous galaxies. The galactic spiral spins slowly. You have no need to hurry. You feel the magnificent infinite cosmos staring back at you, with only the smooth surface of the glass between you. So, this is going to be a mirror going to keep coming back to throughout the game. It's going to assess you and whether you do actions in the campaign that are lawful or not. Again, you will get different reactions depending on whether you're playing lawful evil, lawful neutral, lawful good to certain degrees. But the main thing the mirror cares about is whether you're making lawful or chaotic actions. So if you want to be in line of the Aeon, make sure you make lawful actions. You can rub your eyes. And again, I'll leave this text for you. I'm not going to read everything just to save you guys time for those that want to push through this. You can touch the mirror. You can check to see if the mirror is enchanted. And then you have the Mythic Path look of the eyes of the Aeon. And then you recall the gaze of the creature you encounter in Kenabres. Is what you see now just the shadow of a dying Aeon? Or a glimpse of a new one born somewhere in a unit multiverse? You feel connected to this being. Maybe the Aeon, the timeless judge, is slowly fading away and has come to give you some final guidance. You can say, who are you? This question doesn't even need to be asked aloud. It hangs between you and the Aeon, unspoken yet understood by both of you. I am an Aeon, the embodiment of the law of the multiverse. I preserve the balance of worlds and planes, strengthening the fabric of existence. I want to bring order and peace to this world. The reflection moves its lips, but you don't have to lean in close to hear what it says. You already understand. The words sound in your head loud and clear. You feel an ache in the back of your mind, like the kind you get from drinking cold water on a hot day. But this sensation is freeing. You feel that for a moment, in the midst of seething chaos, a door to the world of absolute order has been opened. Whoever takes on the burden of being the supreme judge must swear to the purity of their intentions. Who but us can endure such a burden, swear and embrace the power of the Aeons, the only power that is able to save Golarion? Words come into your mind, scattered at first, and then forming themselves into meaningful lines. But is it an oath? Maybe you need time to think. Or deep down, have you been repeating the text of this oath over and over and over and over again until you know it by heart? And there we go. We can swear the oath. The words of an oath are forming in your mind, each one burning with certainty and purpose. But where did they come from? The lips of the reflection seem to move even before yours do, as if the Aeon itself is prompting you. I, Commander of Drezen, by willing fate and power of the gods, I swear never to deliberately overlook unlawful acts. I swear never to cover my ears when I hear lies. I swear never to keep silent if my words will bring justice. I swear not to rule, but to judge. I will not be the executioner, but the executioner's sword. I will not enact punishment with malice or joy, but only in the name of law. I swear to be a pillar of stability and order. And if I ever break my oath, may the Aeons, the keepers of order, punish me justly, and may my name be buried in eternal oblivion. This I swear. Your final words linger in the air. The mirror is silent, but you know that the multiverse has accepted your oath. Nothing will ever be the same again, and yet everything is as it should be. This feeling of certainty brings your peace like a taut string that's been released, but something is stirring, constant and restless at the edge of your consciousness. Golarion is imperfect. Mendev is imperfect. Drezen is imperfect. The blinding light obscures your vision. It is as if you are trying to peer past a lighted candle into the darkness beyond. These wandering lights are the souls of the guilty who have not been charged for their crimes. Some of the flickering lights are close. Whatever else may happen in the multiverse, there are those in Drezen who await your judgment. And so you get the mission Burden of the Aeon, and your goal is going to be to convict the guilty in Drezen. Now I want to point out, if you listen to that oath or read that oath, if you just follow that oath when it comes to all your decisions, you'll be just fine. That's the motto your character should live by, even if sometimes your options may seem cruel or unfair or uncaring, because there is no room for emotion. There is no good or evil when it comes to Aeon. There's only law and order. Okay, now when you finish interacting with the mirror, one or two things could happen. Either this next event is going to auto-proc, or there's a chance you may have to exit, and in a short period of time when you return to the Citadel, it will proc. I've had a couple of playthroughs where this differed. I don't know what fully triggers it, but I do know that you need to, at the very least, interact with the mirror. And so what you're going to see here is Private Averis is going to come here, and it's going to be the first of the trial events. These are going to be investigations you're going to be doing for the main kind of pathway progression. So again, I'll leave this for you guys if you guys want to read through it. But the general thing that you want to be saying is kind of supporting like a lawful options here. And generally speaking, you want to be kind of being thorough with your questions. And obviously, if you leave early with minimal information, it could cause some issues. So just go through all of the kind of questions that seem to kind of have you inquire as much as possible. And then I would recommend that you help the person out, because again, that's what the Aeon would do. Try and find the lawful solution here. And so this procs Private Averis versus Private Ramley. Find out if Averis is right. And again, if you didn't get it automatically upon talking with the mirror or interacting with the mirror, just go outside. You can even do like a quest or two or do a mission or two. Come back and it should proc back. Now I'll go ahead and show you where you go for this event. So traveling wise, the fastest way to get there is just travel to the prison. And then just go outside. And then when you're outside of the prison, just go out here. Oops, to the right. And you're going to see them. There we go. And again, of all these missions, if you're ever wondering who's the non-lawful one or the one that tends to be wrong, it's generally the one that has this weird constellation element. It hints to you that they're, chaotic or not lawful. Well, Averis doesn't have that, so she's being lawful. So talk to Ramley. Now, as a general rule, I don't recommend just straight up saying, I know you broke the law, it's time to confess. You get sometimes weird resolutions from that or weird responses. So you can kind of talk to him. I'm interested in Silen's amulet. Here's the text for it again. And then you can question him about Silen. You can mention the children. And then you can mention you knew Silen was married, didn't you? The little ratty bastard is going to keep trying to be tricky about it. And then you can ask where she got the amulet. And say, that's enough about Silen. Then ask about the belt. This is part of the loot that he's trying to hawk and sell. And I mentioned the belt has obviously been worn. He mentions the brother. And then ask what else he has, because we're basically trying to pry out information about all these things that he's basically stolen from the dead or dying. And if you want to buy any of this item for whatever reason, do it now, because afterwards you're not going to have access to it. Not that he has anything special. And go ahead and exit. And then once you talk to him again, you can say everything you're selling is all rubbish. None of this stuff is any good. And And this is the trap, kind of, for him. He's gonna mention he has some stuff nearby, namely chainmail from Kenabres, etc. And this is what we were waiting for him to say. And so this basically adds the village ruins to your map, and we're gonna want to go there and find his stash so that we can incriminate him. So this is kind of the key to everything. Alright, and so at this point you can go to the world map and I'll show you where this is. So as you see here, it's just to the west, really, really close, the village ruins. So kind of make your way there. And when you arrive, you just kind of want to go over here to the left and up. I'll show you, basically you're heading to this section right here. I'll fast forward and show you exactly where to go. So upon completing the fighting encounter, you're just going to go into this burnt down, messed up building. You're going to go into the basement here. And in the basement, you're going to want to go down to here where you're going to see the secret, well, not really secret door, but it is a door that's, you want to be careful, break the trap.
I am helpful, am I not?
Now, once you go through the door, you're gonna have an option to take everything except the evidence. Don't do that because again, you're lawful. Everything that you do is gonna be kind of watched by the Aeon, so they want you to do lawful options. So leave the evidence where it is. But what we do care about the areas that the aspects that are here. So Shield of Paladin of Iomede, Dwarven Helmet, and the chainmail from Kenabres. This is important to note because there's going to be questions about it during the trial, so keep that in mind. So leave the evidence where it is. So at this point you have what you need to incriminate. And so now we're just going to go ahead and head back to the city. And we're going to head back exactly where you found the two privates. So let's go ahead and I'll fast forward where we get back there. Now when you return from the village, go ahead and talk to Ramley again. And then you have the new option of saying I have evidence. And obviously he's not going to agree with you. And so this is important to note. There's going to be multiple options. Only one of them is right. So what you should hopefully remember is that the Shield of the Paladin of Iomede, that's the quick way to remembering this, because the other ones say Shield of Paladin of Shaylin. So it is option 3. So go ahead and select that one. And at that point, you can say, you shall stand trial before the army of Drezen. Go ahead and click that. And it's going to take you to the trial. Right, now as the trial begins, all the accusations are going to come to the forefront. That's very, very important here. If you say Averis calm down, that has nothing to do with the case, you're not going to have enough evidence fully to pass full judgment. I mean, you can always choose to execute him, as you'll see, but if you want the full evidence, you're going to need to say answer defendant. And then you're going to need to be able to pass one of these checks. So hopefully either yourself or one of your companions is high intimidate, diplomacy, or bluff. And then again, you can just choose how you want to be, aggressive-wise or more diplomatic. I'll go ahead and just be aggressive with it. As long as you succeed, he's basically going to trip up and he's going to confess right here. And that's going to give you all the evidence you need that he basically killed her. So again, remember when it comes to the Aeon, it's not about like emotions. It's about, okay, did you follow the law? Did you break the law? He may have felt like he mercy killed her before he looted her, but pure Aeon, that's basically execution. But you do have the option to choose how you go. Do remember that later on in the game you will be judged by the Aeon based off your options, so it's gonna lead you to have slightly different potential results. Again, if you want to go pure Aeon, go as lawful as you can. So in this case, he killed, so he deserves to die. And obviously he's not going to be very happy about it. Now, at this point, you will be visited by Malleus. So this is the path of the devil. So if you are interested in following the path to becoming a devil, you can check out my ultimate guide to the devil. Basically, you need to be either following the Azada path or the Aeon path unto this point before you have an opportunity to start down the path of the demon, or rather the devil. Very, very different. Demons and devils do not get along. So in this case, because we're going down the path of the Aeon, you're going to want to do, I want nothing to do with you. So he's going to talk to you. And then you have an option. He asks you what can sustain the belief, Commander. And you can depend, depending how you want to answer this. Faith in gods, queen, knowledge, protecting those left behind home, strength. Let's say nothing. In this case, we'll just say nothing. You can feel free to ask about all these questions. Now again, Asmodeus is great. Welcome to my cities. Probably not the Aeon path choice here. You can look at them more closely. And again, you can say you're offering strength of my soldiers in return for what? He's basically going to want their souls in hell. I'll let you guys read this over if you wish. And then again, if you're going down the path of the Aeon, I would recommend that you forbid them from signing contracts with your soldiers. And again, he is going to kind of hang out. He's going to probably give you input on things, but keep in mind that the Aeon path and the Devil path do have things in common. They're both lawful. The difference is that Aeons are mainly lawful neutral. The Devil is lawful evil. So that's a main thing to note here. Alright, now at this point, once you basically finish the first trial, and potentially met the devil, there's going to be a couple of prerequisites that you need to proc until we can move forward with the story. The big things we got to do is we got to go to Wintersun, do the events there. That's going to unlock the Ivory Sanctum, and there's going to be a couple of Burden of Aeon stories, so basically other trials that we need to do. Now this is also the time where you can kind of do all the Crusader events, do the side quests, whatever you want. But for the major aspects of the Act 3 progress, you're going to want to go to Wintersun. And so right off the bat, if you're curious how you want to get there, if you go south through Lost Chapel, it actually has a south path. You keep heading south, you're going to basically have a variety of paths here that will lead you to Wintersun. Wintersun is going to have one of the major quests, finding the missing Crusaders. And you're going to basically find this village that's been overrun. Now, depending on some choices you make in the story, and how long you take to get there, there can be a variety of different states that the village can be in when you arrive, which is important to note. But no matter what you do, you're going to go there and then you're going to face down a chieftain and you're going to combat him. And at the end, you're going to face him down as he kind of runs away from you. And there is a unique decision there or option for the Aeon path. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what the unique path is and kind of do a resolution for it. So as I mentioned, this is where you're going to be once you finish fighting the chieftain in the chieftain's hall. And you're going to go all the way to the back, and it's going to have a secret passage that you're going to find. And then all the way to the back. And it's going to proc Know Thy Enemy. So you're going to find Mark Havoc. So you're going to get this key from him. He's all messed up. He's going to call out to his lady. And here's going to be the little trickster demon you're going to find, Jeribeth, and she's going to be an important part of the story here. So you can ask about who she is and what she's done with the village. Basically, she's kind of put a spell on the villagers where they believe that demons are normal humans and outsider humans are demons. This is why the crusaders basically were killed, because the villagers thought they were demons. So I'll go ahead and kind of click through the options. If you guys want to pause again and read, go ahead. What have you done to these people? And she explains. Why did other demons visit here? You can even say you don't seem to be afraid at all, monster. And basically she wants to offer you information about her sanctum. And so here is, you have an option on how to handle the situation. And this can be kind of an ethically gray or problematic part of the story for people, because right now they're kind of living in this own world, and you can basically leave the people as they are in their own ignorance. You can do a pure evil option, a lawful option. The one for the Aeon path, if you want to make sure that the Aeons are happy, is you need to do this one, break Jeribeth's spell. What you have wrought here is a perversion of the natural order, and I have the power to correct it with a snap of my finger. Outside, a clamor starts to swell. 1, 2, a dozen voices crowd in astonishment and horror, because they've just realized everything they've done, everybody they've killed that they thought were demons that were not, and vice versa. And then you have the option of how to deal with Marhavak. And he'll basically kind of tell you everything. And Jeribeth wants you to give him to her. And again, you have the option, you can let her take him, to kill him. But again, if you're going pure Aeon, you have this option, and I recommend you take it. Force Markovek to see the truth, Chief Markovek. You are guilty of betraying your clan. You are guilty of letting your sworn enemies into your home, trampling the memory and law of Sarkoris. Your sentence is the burden of truth. Look upon the thing that you loved. The power crashes down on the chief in a single fearsome strike, rippling him out of the grip of the illusion. The false memories, the warped perversion, all of it dissipates like smoke, leaving behind the exaltation of unforgiven truth. He withstands the shock of your power with surprising equanimity. He raises his eyes to Jeribeth and beholds a grotesque creature unflinchingly. I have been judged, I have been fairly judged, and I must make amends to my people. Farewell, my lady, farewell, but no, you were and always will be my son. And Jerebeth twitches oddly. You cannot tell if she's speaking to Marhavuk, but her words for you are a malevolent wave of chittering. Could not stop you, Commander, in this place at this time. I could not stop you, but we'll see what happens next. I'm returning to the Ivory Sanctum, the castle in the clouds as they call it here. You have a key to my home, but will you find out how to use it? I will be expecting your visit. And you will find out how to use it, because I'm about to show you. And she goes ahead and disappears, and this is how you unlock the Ivory Sanctum on your map, which is a mandatory part of the main story. And you'll have the fallout. And again, depending on how you choose to deal with this, there'll be vastly different kind of responses from him. And don't forget, he's got pretty good 2 axes you can loot here that he leaves. Okay, now when it comes to the Ivory Sanctum, it's kind of far away compared to where you were at Winterspring. So even though it looks like it's just straight to the left here, you're going to kind of need to go around. So kind of give you an idea. If you're back at Drezen, you look at my little path here that it's showing, because I'm currently at the Ivory Sanctum. You got to go north here, down here, and you're going to go past the Drezen home and go west to the Ivory Sanctum. Now do note, if you do not complete the following the dragon quest line before you come here, you're going to have to face the dragon. So if you kill the dragon of Grayson, you're going to be fine, and you're not going to have to deal with anything here. Alternatively, and I already did this, but basically if you arrive here otherwise, you're going to have to fight the dragon down here. And Grayson's going to be here, or Greybore, I don't know why I call him Grayson. But you will have an opportunity to hire him as well. And then there's going to be a pile of skulls here, and you put the key in it, and it's going to go ahead and open the access to the Ivory Sanctum. The Ivory Sanctum itself is part of the main quest line. It's not something that's unique to the Aeon, so you just need to go through it, complete it, and then once you're done, we're going to be able to go ahead and follow on with the story of the Aeon. Okay, at this point in Act 3, there's going to be 3 different trials that you're going to need to face as part of the burden of the Aeon to move forward. It's going to be the case of Private Gorvo. We're going to have Orvenn, Dalmora versus Drezen, and then Drezen versus the Singing Priestess. And I'll go ahead and show you how we go about doing those. So the very first one is going to be nice and easy. If you come out of the Citadel and go down the stairs here to where all the market is, you go to the left, you're going to see Viram here. You're going to see 2 of these guards harassing this merchant. And again, you can tell right away who's going to be the bad guy in this based by these constellations. As it basically tells you who's chaotic, and the guy they're harassing does not have the constellations. That means he's being nice and lawful. You're going to see the text here. They're basically just hassling him. And it looks like we come up right in time. And so the Arcane Weaver is going to beg for us to intervene. So you can go ahead, as I always recommend with all of these trials, you want to get as much information as you can before passing judgment. You can say, oh, I'm ready to listen to your excuses, privates. And they'll say, you know, they're just trolling. Now, of course, the Arcane Weaver, it says they are lying, and they are, clearly, by your Aeonic judgments, but you still got to be able to prove it. And then you can ask Erutel what's going on here. And then your one option will be, you shall stand trial before the army of Drezen. And so that automatically will proc Drezen versus a Conspiracy of Silence. And it's going to take you right to the judgment place. And Erebeth is going to explain the charges. And this isn't a very straightforward situation. And so, again, you're going to have the devil jump in here as well. And you're going to have 3 different options. And again, if you're playing down the devil path, you're going to want to go down like a lawful evil path. While if you're going Aeon, you definitely want to stay lawful. And then it's up to you where you want to lean there. So you can decide privates, you shall return every last coin to the merchant. And then you shall go to prison. You can say, return every coin to the merchant and leave Drezen. No thieves or extortionists in my army. Or you can say you can hand over the money to the treasury and you shall leave Drezen. There'll be no thieves or extortionists in the army. This third option is what the devil would like. Either of the two, first two is fine. But again, probably in your case, getting rid of, you know, any kind of chaotic extortionist would be chaotic is good. So in this case, I'm going to pick to return the coins and then kick them out. And then, right after you do this, it's going to actually proc the next case. And this is going to be the case of Private Gorvo. And as you can read this information as you like. And then you can ask, why do you demand my justice, Private? And so what happened here, he basically killed some guards. And so the question is, you know, what caused them to do the killing? These guards were abusive. Was he acting justly, or was there other elements involved? You can ask, why did you attack the officer, Gorvo? And Leland is saying that has to do about fighting over a woman. And then again, I implore you to get all the information. So Leland, you said something about a woman. What's the story there? So I'll give you information on that. And again, it's a little inconclusive. Gorvo obviously says they're lying. And then you should inquire why somebody had to kill him. And you're going to get the information about Dalmora. So again, not very one-dimensional here. And as you can read here, the officer was a bit quite a bully. And so Gorvo felt like he had to kill him. And so what's going to this lead to is you're going to say, I need to know all the circumstances. My advisor will deal with this when they have time, and Gorvo shall go to prison to a trial. And this is going to create a decree for you, so you can investigate the case of Private Gorvo. And we will go ahead and initiate that in a second while we go and take care of the third trial. And then next, Erebeth should come up. And she's going to be talking about a letter from the Dalmora family. And this is actually going to initiate another case here, where we're going to need to hunt down what happened to Count Orvenn Dalmora. Basically, he kind of disappeared. And his family wants him back, but most importantly wants his armor back. How loving. And then you definitely want to say you'll look into this, and I'll explain how to take care of that in a moment as well. And again, you'll have they care about the sun, but they really care about the armor. Go figure. Okay, so first things first, what you want to do, manage your crusade. And under the decrees, you're going to want to do this one. Now, obviously, you need to have leadership open. So in my case, I was doing leadership already. So you just need to make sure that you know your things are cleared off. So you can skip till they're done. There you go. Skip that one. And now this is going to take 5 days, and they're going to look into the system. So issue that degree, nice and easy. Okay, now that you have the first 2 trials active, we're going to go ahead and go to the Half Measure Tavern. This is where we're going to deal with Drezen versus the Singing Priestess. And when you get here, you're going to notice, again, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. There's Valenia here, and she clearly is the chaotic one. And there's Phi, the Tavern Keeper. You can talk to Valenia real quick. And it's going to initiate to the actual trial. So again, you can kind of talk to her, initiate the talking. I'll let you guys kind of read this if you want to pause. And Phi, the Tavern Keeper, is going to talk about it as well. He's not too happy about the audience it attracts. And so at first you can choose whatever song you want. This isn't going to really do anything for the story yet, but songs will be key to this. So for now, you can finish talking to her. And then talk to Phi, the Tavern Keeper. This is critical. And this is the first time I've actually talked to him in this game, so he may like ask you, introduce himself. What we care about is say, tell me about the Priestess of Desna who sings here in the evenings. And most importantly, he's going to mention that she sings three specific songs that people come and request. Ballad of Happy Oblivion, the Ballad of the First World, and the Legend of the Land of Joy. That's the info you need. You can leave. And then you talk to her. And you're going to say, I know exactly what to request. And one by one, you should request all three songs. And you're going to notice this is basically code works for getting various illicit drugs. So you do the first one, then do the second one again. He's going to basically wink, wink, and hook you up. And then the Legend of Lady of Joy. And the third one, you're actually going to receive the item Flay Leaf, which is like illegal drugs. And then you can say, I thought you were going to sing a song. What is this? And she'll say, psh, didn't you know? Come on. I hook people up. I make people happy. This is a tough time. And again, then you say, hey, you're not a priest of Desna, are you? At that point, you'll notice your quest updated, and you got basically what you need. And so you can say, you shall stand trial before the army of Drezen. And she's like, what? And it's going to take you right to the trial. And again, Irabeth mentions the charges. And Valenia tries to defend herself, as you can see here. Irabeth has her chosen words. And then you have one of three options. You can execute her for selling forbidden substances in wartime. You can be banished for selling forbidden substances. Or the evil option, you can only sell substance that I have authorized. You should also ensure that you carry only the highest quality items in your repertoire. This, again, is what the devil would want. But again, we're not trying to be the devil on this playthrough. We are trying to be the Aeon. So, again, it's kind of up to you how you want to choose. She is in the wrong. They are technically both lawful. So you can either banish her or execute her. We will go ahead and banish her. This is a little less of the harsher decisions, but you can pick either one. So she has been judged. So at this point, we have just two more options. Again, one, we have the decree going, but we need to look into Orvenn Dalmora versus Drezen. And I'll show you exactly where you need to go for this. So for this case, you need to go back to Wintersun. And again, Wintersun is just south of Drezen. So make sure you head on over there. And you're going to head into the town that you've already visited for the previous main quest mission, if you've been following this guide. Alright, so when you go into the town, you want to make your way to here where you have this statue. It's right here, if you're looking at the map. And you're going to see these two NPCs, Vamora and Raven. You can talk to him. He's going to kind of introduce himself. And so you can kind of talk to him, say, people here are generally gaunt. You look pretty strong and healthy. He's going to kind of explain himself and say you're not like the other villagers. And he's again going to explain himself. Do not say, you know, they broke the law, it's time to confess. And you can say, instead, do you know anything about a crusader who went missing around here? Finish the armor, and, you know, he'll kind of talk around it. Then go ahead and say, I have to go. Now, all you gotta do is look literally around the building here. Hit tab to highlight this loot. It can otherwise be hard to see. And loot this ornate rondel. This is part of the armor, and it's gonna initiate what you need to initiate. Talk to Raven. And mention you found the armor of a crusader. How do you have to defend yourself? So he's gonna try explain things. Vamona's gonna try and defend him. He's gonna keep going here, trying to kind of confess. Still don't know the truth about him yet. Very important here, because you spoke to him before. He said, won't go back to Drezen. You said you came from the River Kingdoms. And this is where he gets caught in his lie. And then here comes out the truth. He says he is Count Orvenn. Explains what happened to him. He says, hey, you can try me as a deserter if you need. So at this point, you have everything you need. You can say, my soldiers will take you to Drezen. There, you'll be put on trial. And from this point, you can just go back to Drezen, which is what you're going to want to do. So when you return to town and go to the Citadel, the trial will commence about the desertion. And again, you're going to have a kind of a tricky decision to make here. Basically, how you're going to handle the deserter. So you have a couple options. You can strip him of all his ranks and send to join the condemned as a deserter. So you can also return the armor to the family, send it back to his parents, and you could free him. That's kind of a bit of a... I don't know if that's technically considered chaotic or not. Or you can allow him to free him to renounce his title and your oaths, but in return, you may have to pay reparations to Drezen to cover the cost. And that's actually what the devil would want you to do, for example. But if you're going kind of an Aeon path, you'd want to go probably one of these two. I would say the top one is probably the most lawful. Maybe heartless, but it is lawful, which is what I'm going to choose here. So there we go. And again, only if you have the the devil here, he'll potentially talk to him. So at this point, if you haven't already, you need to make sure that this investigation completes. So if it hasn't been completed, make sure you skip the time till it goes. And there we go, it finishes. Been investigated, and then all you gotta do is return to the Citadel. And it will automatically initiate the trial. And so the key thing here is that there's going to be balancing the response of the officers versus the rank and file. So if you ask what the general sentiment among the officers is, here's the position on that. So basically, you can demote or punish the officers, then you're going to lose their support, but it's going to make the average people happy. Then what is general sentiment of the rank and file? basically, they want you to let Gorvo go, otherwise there's going to be writing, is what Erebeth is saying. And then you can ask her what she feels here. And then you can go ahead and initiate the trial. So Erebeth, as always, will talk about the charges going against Private Gorvo. So here again, you'll notice the information they gathered about why potentially he killed the individual, but they couldn't find the woman in question, his supposed lover. So again, Gorvo goes and defends himself. And again, no matter what you do here, somebody's gonna get mad, most likely. And then Malleus, if you've been interacting with him, he'll put in his 2 cents. Now, I do want to point out, when I was playing through this, I was kind of messing around with both sides. So it's very possible that if you completely rejected the devil, he wouldn't be interacting here. So do note that. This may or may not be part of your playthrough. Now, I do want to point out that here are 3 options. You can either execute Private Gorvo, as all it requires, and Officer Leland is stripped of all ranks for his deception. Officer Damar shall be stripped of all ranks posthumously. So this is basically punishing everybody involved. You could also pardon Private Gorvo, but send him to the condemned. Officer Leland shall be stripped of ranks and imprisoned. And so this is kind of punishing both of them, but in a different way. So he's being sent to the, kind of like in Game of Thrones, he's being sent to the wall. Or option 3 is, you made a decision a long time ago. Order of Damar to appear the court was signed the day before Gorvo murdered him. All I can do is send Gorvo to the condemned. So those are the 3 options you have. And again, you're going to get a different response no matter what you do. Probably the harshest is all 3. I'll kind of show you, because technically, by the law, they all did something technically wrong here. Hence why you notice everybody, both parties are chaotic based off the little animations. So if you decide that one, so this is obviously a very harsh option. Now, I do want to point out that if you had allowed Malleus to make deals with the different individuals, there will be an option that he forces, that basically, or tries to force, saying, hey, this guy signed a contract and you know, needs to follow the contract, and it kind of makes everything kind of go to shit, basically, long story short. So again, that's only if you have that interaction. If you watch my devil playthrough, since I went all in on the side of the devil, you're going to see that resolution, but this resolution obviously was a little different. So at this point, once you have completed all of those cases, you can go back to the mirror, and you're going to notice you have 2 new highlighted options. So you have the mirror is waiting for you, allow the Aeon to speak to you, and you have embarked upon the path to Aeon. Find out how the Aeon in the mirror reacts to your first judgments. So this will give you a review on how it believes you acted. Let's take a quick look for that. It says, the Aeon in the mirror nods to you ever so slightly, encouraging you to begin. Now that it knows everything, does not need the mirror to perceive you. Sometimes it seems to know what you're going to say before you say it. You can say, order has been destroyed. Those who caused the disruption have been convicted, but is everything as it should be? There may only be one moment out of millions of years in which everything happens as it ought. Yet even this one moment is a victory for the Aeon. Injustice is multiplied, the order of things is violated, and for now your abilities are only enough to heal small wounds. Aeon in the mirror evaluates your actions but does not condemn them, for it knows that much still lies ahead. But are you going in the right direction? The judgments were lawful, and the voice you gave the verdicts did not tremble. The mind that made the decision was clear, and the heart that perceived injustice did not falter. And again, depending how you judge individuals, you may get different responses here. And then to progress the story forward, you need to click the mirror is waiting, allow it to speak to you. Aeon nods to you ever so slightly, encouraging you to begin your story again. The judgments were accurate, like a sword slicing through a tangled knot. The mind that made the decisions was cold and pure as a mountain glacier. The heart that perceived injustice was a calm and peaceful as a still sea. So again, this is based on how I answered the questions. An Aeon cannot lie. Deep down, you were already confident you were right. This only confirms your confidence. This piece has opened your eyes to see what the Aeon is showing you. It is a place where something so unnatural happened. The very universe cries out of pain and fury. The order of things was violated, but so irreversibly so. The Aeon is inexorably drawn there to correct everything. And you see that place as clearly as a man of the land has been spread out before you. Just an abandoned hut, deep within the territory corrupted by the wound. But what is really hidden there? Dun dun dun. There you go. And when you leave, the mirror silent is nothing in it by your reflection. This unlocks the Desolate Hovel. And just like with every pathway, this is the next mandatory part you got to go through in order to make your way through Act, or make your way to Act 4. So let me show you where that is. Alright, so here's the Desolate Hovel. To give you an idea how to get there. Here is Drezen. So if you follow this, you can basically go down as if you're going to Wintersun, but then just keep going southwest. When you get to this four-way path, make sure you go northwest, and you're going to get to the Desolate Hovel. And when you go in there, you're going to get basically caught and taken into the little dungeon. And there's going to be 2 unique events there. Well, technically 3. I'll show you the unique events and selections right now. So as you make your way into and through this dungeon, you're going to want to make your way to this room right here that you see my characters in Aurelu's laboratory. And you're going to find this little magnifying glass. So this is a vessel resembling an outlandish jug. Seems to have been hewn from a huge block of solid crystal. Veins of bright purple running through the crystal pulse with light. A crimson droplet falls on it, triggering vibrant deep inside. You look down and see a scarlet stain blooming on your chest. Your wound has reopened in a blink of an eye. And you can basically learn about it if you wish. I failed because I don't have very high arcana. And so the unique option is going to be lawful for Aeon, destroy the vessel, which is what you're going to want to do. Your power now unleashed crushes the criminal artifact. You feel a lancing pain coming from somewhere inside, but the artifact protection, if that's what it was, cannot stop you. With a loud noise that sounds strangely like a shriek, the crystal facets tremble and crumble into dust. The world itself seems to breathe a sigh of relief, though it may be a minor victory. The place is cleansed of corruption. So that's the very first option that's going to be unique here. Then the next option is going to be dealing with this angel here, this tortured angel, which is just south of the room we were just in. You can talk to the old crusader. It's going to start on Hope's wings. And it's going to talk about this angel that's been corrupted. You can talk to the old crusader. If you have good diplomacy, you can try and calm him down. You can ask what's wrong with her. He'll explain how he found her. Again, we're not... There's an evil option you can attack him, but that's probably not what you want to do. And whenever you're done talking, you can leave. So, this is important that you know about her. And then, in just a moment, what's going to happen is you're going to go deep into this laboratory. And you're going to get the ability to basically unlock these kind of dark mists. And when you do that, it's not going to automatically tell you to come back here, but you're going to want to come back here if you want to finish dealing with her. So once you return, you can basically cleanse that negative aura by just interacting with it. And then you talk to Targona, and you're going to have a unique option. Requires Aeon Mythic Path. The grotesque work of the powers of the abyss implanted into creature of heaven. This is a crime against the cosmic order. I must rid you of it. And a shadow flits across the angel's face. I consider this a servant of light cannot accept the gift of the darkness, but I also know that I will not receive a healthy new wing unless the goddess herself grants such a mercy. Demon who did this to me is much more powerful. Once she decides to take something, it can never be restored. I believe this is the test for me, a hard test, but a necessary one. If you believe that I am guilty of weakness, and this is the profane gift must be destroyed, act as if you see fit, and you definitely want to stay by your right here. Destroy the wing. This isn't a punishment, but a purification. Bring the law. The angel screams in pain and falls to her knees, but then she rises again. She reaches up to touch the place where the wing used to be, then wrenches her hand away. Thank you, Judge. So there you go. There's the first big lawful thing you can do here. Or technically second, after destroying the vial. Alright, another side thing you can do is if you go down the stairs, so if you go back towards where you came from, you can, from the main laboratory, you can go kind of down these stairs and find this old mongrel that's kind of tied up. You notice he is chaotic here. And you can judge him or deal with him a couple different ways normally if you're not an Aeon. But what I find interesting is this. You can do a perception. 19 check, which isn't that hard. I can see the ambivalence of your deceitful soul. Confess what less have you violated. And then you'll notice if you succeed, he'll mumble saying, Baphomet, veil my lie in truth. And he tries to protect himself here. And then so the lawful thing to do here is execute him. And that he's a lawyer and demon worshipper. And obviously he then lets you know he was a Baphomet worshipper after all. If you choose to free him, he'll kind of go get aggro on you after, go after you anyway. So, but there's the lawful pathway to deal with that. Now, when you are done with this dungeon and about to leave, you will get a unique experience when you exit that nobody else does. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Aeon Unique Interaction. We go back to the hut. And you'll notice, take a look at that. That's one of the Aeon rifts in time and space. The haze begins to fade away, allowing you to see more clearly. At first it seems as though nothing has changed. You're in the same room that you were in before, but little by little, you begin to notice the differences. Items that weren't there, things that look new. You're no longer alone. Before you stands Arelu Vorlesh, the thrice cursed traitor of Golarion. She looks at you with a surprise and then immediately shoots a quick glance at the closed door. Is she waiting for help? Will she try to run? Your companions look as stricken by what happened as Arelu herself. And depending who you have, you may get a little response. She says, absolutely not. I think there's been a mistake. However, you didn't just teleport just now. It was something different. How interesting. Or could you? Do not get a chance to answer. You find yourself unable to move as a powerful force seizes you and drags you from the distortion into the eternal darkness. So now that's the second time there. If you notice, there was a first time that you saw previously for a quick microsecond. And now you can go ahead and head back to Drezen. And once you come back from the Hovel and go to the Citadel, it should automatically take you to the mirror. A true Aeon has no weaknesses. You also must banish weakness from yourself because you are the essence of the Crusade, its anchoring point. But to banish weakness, you must first uncover it. Where does it originate? From an untrained mind that is akin to the waters of a murky pond and cannot comprehend the difference between right and wrong, how the world should be ordered, or the principles from which one must never deviate? Or does it spring from physical vulnerability, the suffering of flesh akin to a blade untempered by flames, both weakening the resolve of mortals, drive them to vice, and cloud the clarity of purpose? How can you start to heal yourself and your soldiers from a place of weakness? And you have an option. So you can do one of two things. You can choose weakness springs from the mind. My thoughts will be pure as spring water. If you choose this, all units get sound mind, so you're going to get immunity to fear, sleep, and mind-affecting effects to all your units. And you're going to gain the ability to summon 7 water elementals. This can be repeated every 5 days. Or, weakness springs from flesh. I will temper it in the flames of training and burn all that is unfit. And this will give all units sound of body, immunity to poison, disease, paralysis, and stun. Unlocks the fire elemental creation. This will give you 10 fire elementals every 5 days. Now, I will go over these units in a little bit. There are 4 different types of elementals, but it's very important. Whichever of these 2 you pick, you're going to be able to infinitely repeat this every 5 days and get a pretty decent sized army. The fire elementals are much more offensive. They do good damage, but they're not very tanky. And the water elementals are much more tanky, but they hit like a wet noodle, quite literally. So, obviously different buffs and different units. So, pick the one that you want. And again, you will see the unit analysis in just a moment. Okay, so at this point I want to go over the different elementals that are out there. And again, as part of the Aeon path, you're going to have a choice between being able to summon on a regular basis either the fire elementals or the water elementals. Now there are also the air elementals. If you're curious, I'll give you some quick information on them. They have 160 hit points, 23 AC. They do between 8 and 13 damage, which isn't great, but not amazing or anything like that. But they have a lot of immunities. This is kind of nice. They're immune to poison, disease, stun. They can't be stunned and they can't be critically hit. They're immune to precise damage and immune to sleep paralysis, stun, and being prone. So that's really important. Additionally, you'll notice they're airborne, so they're immune to trip. They have air mastery, so airborne enemies get a -1 penalty against them when they attack. They also can, I don't know if I mentioned there, but they're immune to bleed as well. And I'll kind of show you how they move when they attack. So the air ones can move across the whole battle. Again, I only have 40 of them. That's not a huge amount. But here's their movement. You know, just kind of punch. We'll skip this so I can show you the other ones. Now here are the fire elementals. These are the first of the 2 that you can choose from. As I mentioned previously, they have less health and AC. They're 86 AC and 86 hit points, 18 AC. They're immune to all the things that elementals generally are. So poison, disease, being stunned, etc. Also immune to fire. They do more damage though. They do between 17 and 22 damage. But additionally, and again, it doesn't say it in any other area here, is they have something called burning. So the unit's attack applies an effect that deals power times d6 times unit number fire damage for 3 rounds. So the power again is the power level of your leader. So if you have a caster that has high power, for example, this can get pretty good. So that's something you want to kind of keep in mind. So for example, we have 48 power. So this would be 48, sorry, let's see here. 48 d6 times the number of units. So between 48 and then whatever 6 times 48 is, damage per unit. So this is, in this case, times 60. And remember, you can summon 10 of these every 5 days. That's not bad. So it's going to do a decent amount of damage on the first hit. It's going to apply a dot. I'll kind of show you how much it does that in a second. Now we also have the Earth Elemental. You can't infinitely summon these, but there'll be some events that give them to you. So these guys are the big tanks. They have 432 health, 29 AC. They're immune to a bunch of stuff. But you notice they do 1 to 5 damage, which is absolutely horrible. So a couple things though here. They have Earth and Mastery. They get a +1 bonus on attack and damage rolls if both it and its foe are touching the ground. If an opponent is flying, the elemental takes a -4 penalty to attacks and damage rolls. So they're good against basically ground units. They really suck against air units. And they cannot be flanked. That's another thing to keep in mind. And they are very slow. That's how they move. Oh look, he double procced. And finally, let's take a look at the water elemental. They're kind of in between. They have decent hit points, 259, 25 AC. They're immune to a bunch of things that other elementals are. Also to cold. They don't do great damage. They do a little bit more than the earth ones, 4 to 11. And for them, their special thing here is that they have freezing. Unit attacks apply an effect that deals power times d6 plus unit numbers cold damage for 3 rounds. It's basically identical to the fire dot, except that it's cold damage. But again, the big difference here is their base damage is worse. So it's kind of up to you. I'll go ahead and show you their attack animations. Also, you may have noticed when they get hit, they seem to have a bit of a damage shield. I'm not seeing that anywhere here, this damage shield effect, but it is something I noticed. It's not going to win you matches, but it is pretty good. So let me kind of move this out of the way so I can show you. This is the attack. First of the fire elemental. So it's a normal punch, but, and see, there was the damage shield effect. Here's the punch, and again, they don't do very much damage at all. 13, that's really bad. And then finally, let's take a quick look at the water elemental. There we go. So, very, very straightforward, but those are your choices. Now, once you make that choice on which one of the elementals you're going to pick, you're going to want to go back to the mirror, and it's going to have another option here. That's new. Find out what happened at Aerelu's laboratory. The Aerelu you saw in the distortion was without a doubt Aerelu from the past. An Aeon can travel through time, for some imbalances extend far back into the past. In order to root out such imbalances, one must travel back to the decisive points that change the course of events. As an Aeon, you have the necessary strength to slip through the veil of time, but will it be enough to correct what needs to be corrected? There's only one way to find out. Your actions send the multiverse into motion. The new distortion shines out from the darkness like an icy star. You see it clearly, as if a map of the land has been spread out before you. Drezen. Dun, dun, dun. When you leave, this updates your mission. The mirror is silent. There's nothing in it but your reflection. Now, if you look at your quest here, it updates and gives you a hint. Basically, there is now a distortion in Drezen that you can investigate. Alright, now the game doesn't tell you exactly where the distortion is, but basically it's right here where I'm standing. It's on the bridge, so you can just teleport to the entrance and run up, or vice versa, from the citadel, run down. And you're going to want to go ahead and interact with the distortion. So, but you can do whatever you want here, but you're going to want to go inside. And we are back. Minago, where's this simpleton? How long do I have to wait for him? And who the hell is that? Behind the guise of a beautiful woman, you can clearly see Minago's eyeless face. She raises her hand to cast a spell, but a unit of knights comes to the gate. Staunton vain. To battle, my friends, the gods are with us. Today we will gain a long-awaited victory for the Crusade. You barely recognize Staunton. There's a cheerful smile on his young face. There's hope in his eyes, instead of dark despair. He doesn't notice you. His eyes are locked on Minago. Darling, at last! With this banner, we are invincible. Let's go. The great deed you do today will never be forgotten. Every crusader will know your name. The queen herself will reward you. See past the illusion. Demons disguised as crusaders sneer mockingly. Will you have enough power to help Staunton see the truth? You're almost certain that you have the power to open his eyes to truth. You simply have to rely on your most powerful powers of persuasion. So again, you have different tests you can take. And depending on what your best stats are, you can kind of choose whichever you want. The checks aren't super crazy difficult at this point, but if you've neglected these skills, you could have some issues. And so again, it's up to you how you want to do. But again, for example, I chose Staunton. You must return the banner or there will be trouble. If you succeed, he says, trouble? Why? We just wanted to. Surely we win, right? We've got to. Don't listen to him. It's all a lie. He is a demon trying to corrupt you. Looks like it. Staunton glowers at you, clutching the holy symbol that hangs around his neck. In the name of Torak, state your purpose. Answer me. Who are you? Why have you come here? And again, you can answer a variety of ways. I'm your friend, and I have come to stop you from making a terrible mistake. And of course, you can try and intimidate. And then you can also bust out knowledge. Or you can say, what's up? I'm an Aeon. But again, for example, here I want to choose the kind of like the friendly diplomatic route. I'm your friend, and I have come to stop you from making a terrible mistake. And if you succeed, you'll say, I don't know you, but for some reason, I feel like you're telling the truth. Shut your lying mouth. Don't you poison him against me. Staunton, light of my life. Don't listen to the scum. Let's kill him and keep going. Great deeds awake. Staunton says, I trusted you. Staunton, grim, his voice breaks. Trusted you. I loved you, and you. Were you lying to me all this time? You wanted to set me up so that I'd fall and take Drezen down with me? Who are you, really? No, I can't believe you're going to fall for the lies of the scum. Never deceived you, my sweet. I love you so much. And you can say, she's been lying this whole time to you, but now you know the truth. Or you could be a total jerk. Forget what I said. She really loves you. Go to your moment. Glory awaits. Well, that would not be the Aeon thing to do. So we're going to do option number 1. The dwarf jaw is set, though you see the sheer of tears in his eyes, his stern eyes. I trusted you, he repeats quietly, laying his hand on the hilt of his weapon. I loved you. Tarag saved me. Staunton makes a sign of blessing. Brothers and sisters, it's a trap. There are demons. Kill them. Protect the banner. You hear a row rumble. It is the flow of time changing its course. Slowly and reluctantly, you were able to change the past. Everything was as it should have been. Everything is as it should be. Everything will be as it should. So just like that, we've saved Drezen from falling. Commander, so it really was you. On this very spot 7 years ago. Battle hardened and weathered by time, Satan's hands are covered in scars, and wrinkles line his forehead, but his eyes shine with hope as brightly as they did in his youth. When he stood between me and my moment of glory, between me and the one I considered my beloved, I was ready to kill you, but you said you were my friend and you spoke the truth, even if it took me decades to realize it. Anyway, on the confusion, I never got the time to take you aside and say thank you. Not for what you did Drezen or the Crusade, but for what you did for me. And you can, of course, talk to him, ask him, why are you going to tell me this now? And this is his response, if you want to go ahead and read it. So you understood what I did. And here's his response for that, if you want to read it. And what happened after that night? We returned the banner to its rightful place. I confessed what I did. Thought I was sure to be stripped of my rank and sent to the condemned. But at least my conscience would be clean. But that's not what happened. I became a hero. Can you imagine? Everyone was praising me for how I defeated Minago in the battle. They rewarded me, promoted me. In the end, I became the warden of the fortress. But then everything went downhill. The second crusade was different from the first. The first time, we fought scattered groups of demons, a little crack between the worlds. The second time, the crack had split apart into a gaping hole. Entire army poured out of it. We were retreating, giving up mile after mile to them. Soon it was clear we didn't have a chance, not just of a quick victory, but even of saving what was left of Sarkoris. If Iomedae hadn't created a magic barrier around the wound to stop the onslaught of demons, the rest of the world would have followed Sarkoris. In the midst of the nightmare, Drezen stood, an indestructible citadel, but soon it turned into a tiny enclave of crusaders deep within enemy territories. The banner and our bravery kept demons outside the walls, and the Queen's support kept us alive and fed. But a counterattack was out of the question. That is, until the day you brought the 5th Crusade army to the city walls and lifted the decade-long siege. And you can ask him whether the demon was part of the battle, as always. And he was, so that didn't change. And ask him what he knows about you. And he says, so in this kind of new version, because you changed, what happened in time. When demons attacked Kenabres, they were hoping to put an end to the crusade. They planned on taking the ward stone of Kenabres and using it to destroy the entire magic barrier around the world wound. Their dirty plan would have worked if it wasn't for the hero who stood in their way, you. You reclaimed the world stone and made the demons leave Kenabres. Queen Gaffrey appointed you to commander of the 5th army. This Iomedae herself guides you in the battle, and you performed real miracles in her name. Well, I don't know about the goddess, but I've seen your miracles with my own eyes. You came to the walls of Drezen and lifted the siege. You did what the entire Mendavian army couldn't do for decades. You scared the demons away from your walls. Now the city is your capital, and your armies are crushing the demons on all fronts. After Liberation Drezen, Iomedae Holy Banner, the Sword of Valor, started to change as if acknowledging your rule over it. Many deemed this as a good sign. You can ask him what he knows about Arushabe. And you can ask him what he does next. And there's, if you want to read that. As you follow the dwarf with your eyes, you feel a burden of time weigh heavily on your shoulders. You did what you intended, and yet how little was changed. Of course, the time has been altered, but only a little. Can anything truly be changed? What if it was as it was? It is what it is, and it will be as it will be. Or is there a way to make everything as it should be, and you just haven't found it yet? So there's the big progress. And now you'll notice the mission, your main mission is over as far as for the Aeon right now. So at this point, you just need a little bit of time to pass, and you're going to get the event that the Queen is coming back, and you're going to be opening the kind of world wound. So, or not opening the world wound, but going down into Act 4. If you have trouble where things are not proccing, make sure you talk to Hand of the Inheritor. Make sure there's no communications you've missed there. Sometimes passing a little time and then going back to the Citadel helps. But if you've done the Hovel, you've done these events, everything following this guide, you should be proccing your progress to Act 4. Now I want to point out, right before you deal with the Queen and head into Act 4, there should be an event that pops up. It's called Aeon's Call, where it's going to say, the Crusade leader has overcome a strong desire to return to Drezen and spend some time in privacy. So you want to go here and head back to your headquarters. It's going to take you back to the mirror. Aeon does not experience anger, but you know anger all too well. Your subordinates' short-sightedness is enough to irritate even the most logical mind. Their lack of foresight is frustrating. Followers of many gods have joined the Crusade. Each group has its own ritual, taboos, and traditions, and each group has strong opinions. They argue and bicker amongst themselves even as they stare danger in the face. You cannot waste time resolving their petty disputes. We need a more effective solution, like appointing competent mediators. They can convince the believers that some of the religious norms do not apply during wartime, that theological disagreements are advisable in the face of the common threat. There are many ways to establish order. The priests of Abadar are adept at eliminating disorder amongst their flock by promoting uniformity of thought. The followers of Calistocratic philosophy resolve disputes in such a way as to bring prosperity to all parties. Hell Knights of the Order of the Chain have their own methods, but they also act for the common good. Each of these groups is committed to order and could be a representative in future disputes. So here are your options. If you draw the Wisdom of the Abadar, all units gain Abadar's Cooperation feat. Unit has +1 AC to every adjacent allied unit. It's a nice little defensive buff. If you turn to the Calistocratic philosophy, all units gain a Wealth Brings Strength feat. So the unit has +1 bonus to attack for every 10,000 finance points available in the treasury. If it's a mercenary unit, for every 1,000 material points available in the treasury if it's a trained unit, or 100 energy points available in the treasury if it's a mythic unit, max +3. So if you basically stockpile 30,000 money, finance points, not money, 3,000 material and 300 energy points, you get that max +3 to attack to all type of units. The Order of the Chains, this one will give all generals Retaliation of the Chain. All units deal 1d6 +3 physical damage to their enemy when damaged in melee, so this is a damage shield. Now remember, this doesn't seem like a lot, but if you have a ton of units, then this will stack. So like if you have a stack of 300 of some unit, then it's going to go 300 times that. So that could be okay, but I personally prefer offense versus like offense through defense. And then your final option is let everything remain as is, and you just get morale. So that's probably the worst option in my opinion. So obviously pick whichever you want. The AC is pretty cool. I mean, you can go thematic or like roleplay, or if you like one of the buffs, pick whatever you want. And that is that. Okay, now once you get into Act 4 and make your way through the Nexus, everything is going to be following the traditional story until you get to this kind of mining area. And in the mines, the one thing that's unique is you get this crystal here that you're going to notice pops up. You could very easily run by it, but you're going to want to interact with it. You're going to be coming back here a couple times during Act 4 for your Aeon Interaction. So let's see what happens here. You look into the reflective surface and find the Aeon gazing back at you. It is surrounded by spiral galaxies and supernovae scattering into the clouds of dust. The abyss is the abode of chaos and hatred. Contemplate why glowing souls are so rare in a place of suffering. You know the answer. All planes obey the laws laid down at the moment of creation. The abyss is a place of evil and rage. This is how it was created. And that which acts in accordance with its nature does not violate the laws of creation. So basically, if you don't get what this says, is saying that the abyss is chaotic. And so that by nature is the way it's meant to be. So it's lawful for it to be chaotic, meaning things are kind of backwards things. So actions that are deemed lawful in the normal plane would be considered unlawful from a Aeon's perspective. So it's more about making sure that things stay chaotic in this plane and things don't get overly lawful, because it's all about that balance between not necessarily good and evil, but law and chaos. And at this point, you can say, look into the eyes of the Aeon and ask yourself if you are ready to follow the path. The Aeons are born from contradictions and become creatures of harmony. However, do not feel this harmony within yourself. Your soul is bound to your flesh, your mortal shell, and your mind does not wish to be set free. The path of the Aeon lies among developing and dying worlds, but you are not ready to break away from the material plane and become a true Aeon. Not yet. Sometimes I feel like I don't know how to be an Aeon. Sometimes I feel like I don't want to be an Aeon. Would the world be a better place if justice did not exist? Would it be a happier place if you did not exist? Sometimes reality loses its meaning and everything feels like a dream. An Aeon does not think like a mortal. An Aeon does not ask questions about what they see or who they judge. An Aeon knows that it is the only way. And then you can contemplate how to grow stronger and increase your power. You will continue to follow the path of the Aeon. You will judge those who break the law and punish them for violating the cosmic order. But you do not have the power here that you had in Drezen. Alushin Yura is ruled by others. You must find someone who will listen to the words of an Aeon. You can go ahead and leave. So you'll have this Equilibrium of Chaos quest. So Act 4 for the Aeon is pretty straightforward. There are going to be a couple of basically cases of sorts you need to identify. There's going to be 3 of them. I'm going to show you exactly where to go to pick them up. And then you're going to follow through Act 4 as you would normally. And at the end of the act, I'll show you where to go, who to talk to in order to get the cases judged. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. Okay, so your first kind of judgment option is going to be here in the lower city. If you start here and make your way up to here where you see my characters, you're going to see Zara and Zorgus, her son. So you can interact with Zara. And there's going to be a bit of communication. And again, if you want to read through it, go ahead. You can ask who they are and ask them what they're doing. You can ask her who this boy is. Ask her what draws her to Ishar. You can address the boy, ask him if he's okay. And you're going to see a bunch of options pop here. So you can ask him, what are you doing to your son? Tell you the truth. And then a hand of inheritor is going to chime in to you in your head, I guess. And you can ask Xerxes what he prefers. Now there are some options here that are good, that are chaotic, and evil. And then the big thing here, obviously, for being an Aeon is I can see the luminescence of your soul. What does you come against the abyss and all creation? You can go ahead and tell her that, ask her that. You can also ask, now it's going to have this new option for lawful, but you can ask her, how could her mother be so cruel to her child? Remember, you are like in the abyss, filled with demons. So, and then your lawful option is, you will not escape justice. There's authority here that fits to try you for this transgression. And she goes, yeah, sure, go ahead. And you can go ahead and leave, and that's going to proc Equilibrium of Chaos. It's gonna find this is gonna count as the first potential trial. Now, I didn't find any other kind of interactions here, so if anybody found any other details or any kind of information that can help with this trial, you'll let me know in the comments, because I didn't find anything, and you'll see how it turns out when we get to the section at the end of Act 4 here. Alright, so the second potential trial or judgment target is going to be at the Battle Bliss Arena. And yeah, it is good old Zeklex. So if you talk to him, he'll introduce himself. He's the arena steward. And he's gonna basically do his little pitch. And the inheritor will give us 2 cents here. And there's a couple things you can do here. So the thing you want to do is examine the unusual tiefling more closely to understand the nature of his existence on the plane. And you're going to kind of notice kind of some oddities here, because he's very non-chaotic for a being that should normally be chaotic. So this is somebody that you will be talking to probably arrange a match. But what you can also do is you can see the aura of his soul saying that you don't belong to this plane. This is the realm of chaos, and your heart and minds are strictly ordered like a machine. So again, remember what I said earlier. In a place of chaos, law is what's out of order. So you can select that option. And he's going to be like, what? So he's going to kind of do his lawful pitch of why he's doing what he's doing. So here's everything you can read if you like. So you can basically make a deal with him to take down the arena or not. It is completely up to you. It's going to be easier if you work with him. And you may have some hindrances if not. But let's say you ignore the gesture. At that point, you have the option to say, regardless of what choice you just made, lawful, your belief in fairness violates the laws of Abyss. There is an authority here fit to try you for this transgression. And, you know, he's not going to be very happy about that. You're still going to get to do all the other options that you need to progress through Act 4. But once you leave the conversation, notice he is added as the second person as a judgment target. So that's number 2. But there is one more. So let me show you the third one. Okay, and then we have the judgment target number 3. This is in the lower city. It's going to be at the little tavern here. And what you're going to do is you want to talk to this guy here, Milarash. He's a ship captain. And you can talk to him about him. You can ask him what a sorcerer from Absalom is doing in the rat hole in the middle of the abyss. He'll tell you a story. And you mentioned you seem honest. How do you manage to survive in this place? And he'll explain himself for you here. And you can basically ask him, you can say that the luminescence of your soul, confess what laws of the abyss have you violated. Now you can learn a little bit more about him. I can ask him about a pirate named Curse. I'll tell you about that. You can ask him about a ship. There's information there. You can go ahead and read that. You can ask him who works on a ship. Just getting a little information about him. There's a little more information. And then when you're done, after you can ask him how you wound up in the abyss. Here's everything he says. And you may get feedback depending on what characters you have with you. And then you get the option lawful. You can't escape justice. Alushin Yura will see you judged. There's his response. And when you're done and you exit here, now you have all three options that I found for the judgments. Now again, for these three options, I haven't found any other information other than what you've seen here in my interactions. So, if anybody has any other information they randomly found, do comment below to help everybody out. Now let me show you where this will actually get judged. So the judgment will not happen until you're ready to be leaving the main city of the Abyss. You're going to make your way to the House of the Silken Shadows. And this is where you're going to basically meet with the demon that's in charge, the head honcho of the city. So what's going to happen is, during your conversation here, you're going to have Nocticula finally show up. You're going to have a conversation about a couple story aspects. And what stands out for the Aeon path is you're going to have this option here that says, there are some in your city who must be condemned for breaking the laws of the Abyss, as well as the cosmic order. You must judge them. And basically, she is going to say, you don't say, why do you concern yourself with these laws? What gives you the right to tell me whom to judge? You can basically tell him that you're an Aeon. And she says, well, Aeon, there are times when even the ruler of Alushin is in need of entertainment. I have never obeyed any laws or rules before. Why not try it now? Let's have a trial. I'd love to see an Aeon try to establish order amongst chaos. So, you can basically say you're ready to judge. Here are three options. What's kind of weird, it says she will only judge 3, but you can technically have her do all 4. Now, I'll kind of click through the options here, but I will say it's been very weird how she responds. If you kind of lay out all the information, how you would inherently think they would work, she judges against them. The only one I've been able to have her basically like kick out or punish is Melara, and that's if you kind of support them. So it's kind of, everything seems backwards here. So when you talk to Zlakalak, that's the first one. You can do Zera, second one, and Melara, third. And then again, you can say Eru Vorlash is the fourth. And obviously she is included there in case you didn't pick anybody else or find anybody else. And you can begin the trials. And so what she's going to do is she's going to go ahead and summon each person in order. So I'll let you pause this and read this if you wish. And they kind of bring the case in front of her, explain everything. And unlike the trials in Galarian, this again is very counterintuitive, especially compared to, you know, how you do it on a normal plane, but kind of makes sense because you're on an abyssal plane of chaos. So Zera is going to kind of like defend herself. And then so your responses are 3 that I found here. The crossbreeding of Quillup and Demon violates the laws of creation. With the Lady of Elushinra permission, I will execute this creature. I think I've chosen that one, so that didn't work out very well. If this research is vital to the survival of demon race, Zera should be allowed to continue her experiment. And then you can also say, I suggest you execute Zera, but leave the boy alive. It could be a useful servant once his mother is gone. Now again, I think I've chosen these first 2 in testing, and she didn't support me and decided to just let her be. Let's see what happens live here, kind of when we suggest that you execute Zera but leave the boy alive. Oh man, the boy gazes at you in horror, glances toward his mother, then looks pleadingly, and Nocticula, don't, mommy. Nocticula considers rewards. Well, I've made my mind. Aeon, you were convincing, but not convincing enough. Zera, you may continue experiments. So she basically, again, from what I've seen, all three options seem to side with Zera. Again, if you've found a way to get different answers, do let me know in the comments below. And that's how the first one goes. And again, shocking, you didn't listen to me. You did the opposite. So, are you surprised? So again, this opposite seems to be in line. So the next person is going to be Zeklek. This is the arena steward. And he's going to explain himself. And then, so your options are: Zeklek is guilty of violating the laws of the Abyss. He must be banished. He is right. Fair fights benefit everyone. Should remain a steward. And they say a good reputation is worth more than riches. Zeklek is known as an honest steward. No one will suspect him of organizing rigged fights on behalf of your favorites. And again, I think I've tried 1 and 3, and she didn't support me at all. Let's test out what happens if you say Zeklek is right. Fair fights benefit everyone. Because again, she does seem to do the opposite of me. Let's see if she keeps him on. So again, from my experience, option 1 and 3 kept him up on a steward. And if you select 2, let's see what happens. She says, perhaps Nocticula smiles at you, narrowing her eyes like a cat. But is that what they are here? Why we are here? To show mercy? Zeklek, you will be punished for your honesty and for breaking the laws of the Abyss. Now, Aeon, that is what I call a trial. Did I do it right? Or am I now law-abiding enough for you? Nocticula tries to keep a straight face, but struggles to maintain her composure. She looks as though she's about to burst out laughing. Zeklek, you can do whatever you want to me. To be honest, I never thought that my death would be at your hands, my lady. It's an honor, although of course I prefer to live a longer. Zeklek looks at you. What touches the justice of the Abyss, and I'm afraid I will have to experience the justice firsthand. Okay, so I was correct in my assessment. The one option where you wanted to say, hey, he's doing what he should be doing, leads to his demise, and all the other options seems to keep him on board. So again, just use kind of reverse psychology with her. All right, and then you have the third trial. And here's the fearless aeronaut. So you're going to see the same format here. And they're going to explain what's going on. Milera is going to kind of explain his situation. Nocticula says her thing. And here are your options. She must abandon the code of the aeronauts. She continues to abide by these rules. She must be banished from Elrush. If you say this, she won't get banished. She'll be left alone. And if you say, Melra, curse could be useful, send those who displease you to her ship and let her fate deal with them. Or I do not see any criminal wrongdoing here. An informal code of conduct is not a law. And if I remember correctly, because again, if you're trying to get them kind of in trouble and get them judged, then you can put number 2, I believe. Let me see if it's correct. I know it's either 2 or 3. But let's check. I believe it's 2. It says, then why did you call this woman in court? Well, if the Aeon is too afraid to pass judgment, I will do instead. Leave my realm and do not return. Your doom follows you wherever you go. I don't want my servants dying off as a result of ridiculous curse. So again, if you chose option 1, she would be left alone to do her thing. But in this case, you got her kicked out. So again, use reverse psychology of whatever you want to happen here. And she'll be kind of bored and tired of everything. And that's pretty much it. And this will complete this quest. So now you'll notice in the equilibrium, it now wants you to meet with the reflection of the Aeon. And so if you haven't figured this out, the wording is it's not very descriptive. It doesn't really help you out that much, but basically you just have to go back to the mine where you saw the crystal at the beginning of the act and have the interaction. So let me show you what happens when you get there. Okay, so here we are in a mine, and here's the crystal. So let's go ahead and interact with the crystal. You look into the reflective surface to find the Aeon gazing back at you. It is surrounded by spiral galaxies and supernovae scattered into the cloud of dust. And you're going to look into the eyes of the Aeon and ask yourself if you are ready to follow the path. Aeons are born from contradictions and become creatures of harmony. You feel this harmony within yourself. The path of the Aeon lies among developing and dying worlds. It is not long before you break away from the material plane and become a true Aeon. I will not allow the memory of the past to disturb me. And you can contemplate whether you have strayed from the path of the Aeon. The ruler of Averis, I cannot pronounce this. Alush in Ira sought to lead you astray. She acted as an agent of chaos, but she cannot be blamed for following her nature. What's important is that you acted according to your nature. You fulfilled your duty as an Aeon. Articula was the stormy sea, rough and unpredictable, but you were a solid rock, and neither tide nor waves could move you. So it was, so it is, and so it shall be. And then you can go ahead and leave. Oh, well, it will say, you feel like you've accomplished your mission in the abyss. When you look back, you sense that something is wrong. The influence of the abyss is seeping into Galarian through the rift in the midnight Fane. In its darkest depths, a cold distortion flickers, invisible to everyone but you. It is a breach in time, similar to the one that drew you into Aurelu Volresh's laboratory. Perhaps you were not strong enough to reveal it before, but now you see it clearly. Your time in the abyss has given you an Aeon's determination to fight injustice in the end. So this is going to proc this event to get the check out the distortion. And so that is in the Fane here, in the Midnight Fane. Now you have the opportunity to check it out here, and also what's also going to happen is that once you leave Act 4, you're going to go to the mines, you're going to deal with Baphomet, and the way out from Baphomet, you are going to go to the Fane as well, and you're going to be able to do this interaction. So if you have any issues, because some people have noted that when they try to go to Fane here, it doesn't work. So just note that in case you're confused, you can go ahead and finish Act 4, go to deal with Baphomet, deal with that whole situation, and then on the way through the Fane, on the way out, when you're going to go back to Drezen, you're going to pit stop where I'm going to show you right now to handle this. Alright, so here we are in the Fae, alright? And for reference, this was sealed before. There was like one of these little shields that you can now get, or bypass rather. And so when you go in here, you're going to see this distortion, and let's see what happens when you interact with it. And again, you're going to go into distortion as you did in the previous time you dealt with one. So it's time to have an impact on the world and space-time. The cold haze dissipates, but Aurelu Vorlesh's icy stare keeps you frozen in place. You again, I knew you'd come back eventually. And then you're going to notice Xanther the Plagued One is here. You killed, but again, this is in the past. Xanther the Plagued, what are you doing here? The insects grow louder and more agitated. Your anger rustling filling your ears. What did you call me, the Plagued One? I am Xanther Vang. I hope your primitive little brain can remember that, and I'm not going to bother explaining our research to you. You won't understand it, even if you tried. Isn't that right, Mentor? My research, not yours. But it doesn't matter right now. Our guest must not be allowed to leave. Kill him. Mustafen, help Xanther deal with our unwanted visitor. So you can go ahead and attack. You can say, you underestimate my power. And Xanther will say, pathetic worm, you are nothing compared to Aurelu Vorlesh, architect of the world wound. Prepare to die. And of course, his little buddy leaves him in the dust. He's going, Mustafen, you damn coward. You will never become Aurelu Vorlesh's apprentice. You're nothing more than an unlettered servant. You don't belong in my mentor's laboratory, not even to wash the dirty flasks. And so you can actually talk to him first. You can say you want ask him if he wants to be a ruler's only apprentice. Here's his response. You can ask him what she's teaching him. So he's going to mention the crystals. And you can say, you heard Arero, I'm from the future. Do you want to know what will happen to you? And here's the kind of interesting thing. He's going to ask, is this a trick? And so if you have a good enough check here, you can get interesting options. So the diplomacy option is, do you think your master appreciates your intelligence? Do you think they care about your research? They just want to use you, make you work like a slave day after day. You'll labor away like a mindless machine looking for ways to make demons stronger. Or you can intimidate. In the future, you will die by my hand. Tired and disappointed, you will dream of death. In fact, you will beg for it. But your future is my past. If I thrash you so easily then, what do you think I'll do to you now? So you kind of have an interesting option here. Just for the interest of showing something that maybe you may not choose, I'll go ahead and choose the intimidation option. I'd probably recommend you do the top one. Go on Aeon, but let's see what happens when you choose the intimidation option. So I succeeded. Xanther's mantle twitches and moves. As the locusts are trying to escape, he struggles to contain them within the confines of his cloak. No, I am a supreme being. I am a great scientist, brilliant. I'm smarter than all of them. I will not die this way. No, lies, all lies. Speaks confidently, but there's a note of uncertainty in his voice. Shut up. I don't want to listen to you.
Can we retreat already?
And you'll do combat with him, and he's not terribly difficult. Now, once you're done fighting him, Xanther drops to his knees and chittering insects fall silent beneath his mantle. I admit you're stronger than a normal Galarian. Maybe you did kill me in the future, but in this time I have youth and strength on my side. There is no weakness in my body. I am more than frail flesh. Go ahead, do your worst. You can't defeat me. We'll see about that. So you have an option that is Aeon Mythic Path exclusive. You're an unnatural monster. You should not exist. Watch in amazement, Xanther Vang, for I'm about to correct your existence. You look at Xanther through the eyes of an Aeon. You can see the power of the Nexus tormented human soul to the magical swarm of locusts. You look more closely, and suddenly you are the swarm. You are the new flesh that envelops the soul. You hear the rustling of locusts, the sound of a first gasping breath, and you feel the movement of the cosmic spheres. You do not exist, and yet you are everywhere. You can separate a swarm from a person as easily as you can unfurl your fist. Oh! You blink and you are back in your own body again. A young man kneels at your feet, wrapped in a mantle that bears a symbol of Discari. His pale, arrogant face is contorted in horror. He is grasping for air like a fish out of water, too shaken to speak. A swarm of locusts hovers nearby. They buzz angrily, ready to attack. So now you gotta kill the swarm. It shouldn't be very hard.
You've crossed the wrong mongrel.
Once you're done with the horde, oh look at Xanther. He looks so human. Xanther looks at you apprehensively, but his intent clearly outweighs his fear. Impossible. How'd you do that? It's not just magic. Oh no. You move freely through time as if you were walking down a straight road. Use the power of the Aeon to change reality. Are you on the verge of becoming a transcendent being? A ferocious gleam sparks in his eye. I'd give anything for a chance to study you. So you can basically tell him, if you continue to study the Nahendran crystals, you will get your answer. You are free from Discari's powers, Xanther. Get out. If I discover you're working for demons again, I'll kill you. And again, it's kind of up to you what you want to say, but I'll go ahead and just keep it kind of vague here. You're free from Discari's powers, Xanther. This imperfect mortal body, I certainly had no desire to return to this farm, but you were right. I am amazed. What you just did was incredible. The power you displayed, it was unlike anything I've ever seen. I have the greatest respect for Lady Arelu, but you have so much more to offer. The power of the Aeon. Oh, the research possibilities are endless. Wish you could conduct some experiments. So again, you can tell them if you continue to study the crystals, they get your answers, or you can tell them to get out. I'm guessing most Aeons will probably choose this third one. So let me show you what happens when you choose the first one. The crystals are responsible for the powers. I don't know if Lady Aresha understands their full potential. Xanthor's lip twists into an unpleasant smirk. Not that I'm going to tell her. This will be my research. I don't need Arella or anyone else. And then you can say, my powers are connected to the Nahandrian crystals. I will let you live. You can continue to study the crystals, but in return, you must serve me and no one else. So, here's an interesting twist for you. Xanthor bites his lip, trying to control his excitement. I could study the powers of a transcendent being in transition, observe the growing of their power. I've studied what these crystals can do to demons, but you are a unique case. I probably know much more in the future you come from, but I swear I will acquire that knowledge if you give me time. The power you just displayed, it can be turned against the demons. If you wish, I can research the matter further. I will have no shortage of test subjects. And so, you can command him. I am the commander of Drezen. You can find me in the city once you succeed. So I want to point out, in my playthrough, because I'm kind of doing loads and kind of showing this stuff as I record, my natural responses did not follow this, so I did not get him to do this research and interact with me. I'm assuming there's going to be a unique interaction where he will come and visit you. Again, I did not do that on my playthrough. I think I chose one of the other options, and he kind of just ran away. So if you followed what I just did here, though, you may get a cool, unique interaction. So this is where you say, I am the commander of Drezen. You can find me in the city once you succeed. Xanthor bows his head slightly. As you wish, given the current situation, Drezen, I suppose I'll know when it's time to meet. You hear a loud rumble. It is the flow of time changing in its course, slowly and reluctantly. You were able to change the past. Everything was as it should have been. Everything is as it should be. Everything will be as it should. So the goal here is you can basically change Xanthor's path, where you basically didn't have to kill him. And I hope this helps you guys, because again, I did not get to do that. And so, this is what happens when you return, if you did it correctly. Xanthor Vang, you are greeted by a familiar voice. Mentor, the day has finally come. Xanthor Vang gives you a nod of greeting. He has aged visibly since your last meeting, and the passage of time seems to have made him even more arrogant. And then you could say, how did you know this was the day I would return to the Midnight Fane? When I heard about the battle for Drezen, I knew we'd be meeting soon. My research was almost complete. Queen personally invited me to Drezen. She wanted me to examine Mustafen's laboratory in the Midnight Fane. I've spent countless days sorting through all the documents Dalmora left behind in his lab. Before the Queen gave orders to block the exit, I snuck down here to the dungeon. I didn't want what was happening above to interfere with my research. It's so noisy up there, it's simply awful. And then you can say, since you are here, I assume your research was successful? Quite so, Mentor, quite so. Not only did I study the Nahandrian crystals, I also did considerable research into the nature of Aeons, able to create spells that would allow you to correct, as you called it in a day, demons by stripping them of their mystic powers. Try it out. I am sure it'll work perfectly. It sounds like you get some sort of power. It's pretty cool. And then you can say, what's happening in Drezen? I have no idea. Some fighting, perhaps? I think there's some kind of battle going on, but I don't know for sure. I decided to stay here in the Midnight Fane just to be safe. It wouldn't surprise me if Mustafen's pathetic creations are rampaging through the city like herds of swine. Disgusting. I hope you deal with them quickly. It pains me to even think of their existence. Obviously, you can ask him why you call him a mentor, because, you know why. Because you basically made him as the mentor. And then you can ask him, what have you been doing all these years? Research, of course, and that idiot Mustafen can only dream of the kind of advancements I've made in my research. At the moment, I'm the only real expert on Nahandrian crystals in Mendev. The rest are just parasites trying to leech off my research and discoveries. I've been consulted by the Decemvirate of Pathfinders, and I've received numerous awards for my work. Of course, some envy me, and others I think I'm a secret cultist And then there's the matter of those goons my former masters keep sending to kill me. But every brilliant scientist faces a few obstacles on their path to greatness. Mustafan did replace me as Arelu Vorlash's apprentice, a sneaky scumbag, but I've seen his handiwork. I've studied these so-called mythic demons he has created. Mythic demons? More like mythic dross. If I were in his place, Xanther stops and eyes you warily, which of course I'm not, and I wouldn't want to be, but, well, hypothetically speaking, if I were him, the Crusade would have been over by now. You can say, you have served me well, Xanther. Continue with your research. I know you would appreciate my work, Mentor. If you need me, I'll be on the lab looking through Mustafan's research, though I doubt Idiot left behind anything useful. So it is very, very possible that at this point, dealing with him, you will get some additional abilities, potentially. Okay, now, once you finish with the Fane and you head your way out, you're going to get back to Drezen. You're going to find it over on now. As I mentioned, in my playthrough that I've loaded into here, I did not successfully transfer Xanther to be my mentor, so there's a possibility that somewhere in here you may have changes that have been done because he's your apprentice. Do note that in the remaining of the guide that I have here, he is not my apprentice, quote unquote, but if anything, it might be kind of side little things that are impacted by it, most likely. So at this point, what's going to happen is you're going to kind of make your way down here, back kind of to where your citadel was, and you're going to go in here, and this is going to lead to the event that is going to cause you to finalize your choice to be a Aeon in Act 5 and push you, I guess, towards full Aeonhood. So once you talk to the storyteller in the Citadel, you get to this event here. And I will share with you the unique experience of the Aeon side. You're already going to notice they're all quite chaotic. So obviously the demons are here to attack. They're quite pompous. And you can basically have a couple options here. Good, evil, and kind of neutral. You can say, who sent your army? Here's your beast. Baphomet is Sanctum. And then fight for Drezen, don't give up. So here are the responses to that. And here we go. So the demon's going to say, what are you waiting for? Can't you hear them screaming? Why aren't you rushing to help them? Ah, right, you can't. You're just a mortal insect. Bit off more than he could chew. You're nobody. Well, you have a unique path for the Aeon. Now you also notice if you have other options, like the Golden Dragon prerequisites that I met, or you could also have the Legend Mythic Path, which is your default one, if, for example, you didn't meet the other ones. So that's an important thing. You always have the Legend Path, but you can say, I am a judge. Power rushes through your body, almost ripping it apart. The wound in your chest bursts open, a spray of bloody droplets. The might bestowed upon you by the Abyss and Arelu Vorlash erupts into this world, and you pay for it in purest agony. The word judge falls from your lip before you have time to consider the question. A judge, a keeper of balance, an Aeon. That is why you have always strived to be. You turn your gaze onto the battle, demons fighting Galarians. This is a scene that you should have grown accustomed to long ago, but now you feel wrongness of it as it never before. This feeling resonates in your bones like a sharp ache. Demons of the Abyss, you have illegally invaded another plane. And the demon says, haha, any more stunning revelations? Next you'll be telling us the fire is hot and water is wet? Of course we invaded this place, because someone opened a gate for us, and whose fault is that? Ours or the Galarians' witches? I sentence you to exile for all eternity. Begone and never return. Orvenn tries to say something else, but you no longer hear his words. The sounds of the battle grow distant, too. The battlefield becomes a stampede of shadows. It does not take much effort to separate the Galarian shadows from the shadows of the Abyss. Under your piercing gaze, all the powers the demon boasted of withers away to nothing. Now they are just powerless prisoners in their own bodies. Oof.
Be careful, everyone.
Now here comes the event. This first part is the same for all the paths where Aeon comes in. Now I am going to pass through the majority of the baseline communication here. Demons are going to come as well. There's going to be a little back and forth banter. And you can, again, I won't spoil that for you, but I will show you the choice that you make in the communication that is unique to the Aeon.
Knight Commander, and but at the same time,
Oh, really? I didn't realize you were good for anything else.
You are
That is true.
Yes.
No, does this look familiar? That is good. Wait, I said wait!
Yes.
She's talking.
I am waiting for...
Quite right.
So you're gonna see your mythic level up once you're done talking to the ladies. And you get to choose your mythic path. So again, you can strip your powers and become human. Boring. Actually, it's pretty powerful. You get like 40 levels worth of advancement that you can combo. But obviously we're going to choose Aeon. That's going to recommit you to the Aeon path. And then once you kind of choose your level ups for the mythic path, your unique communication is, it was not the abyss that gave me these powers, it was the relentless logic of the universe. The same logic demanded that I see this through to the end.
Your pride will destroy you, and perhaps all of Golarion with you. But I shall not intervene now, so as to avoid causing even more suffering to this world. Farewell.
Your logic is so cold and cruel. I can't believe the universe would want us all to suffer.
And so you're going to get some responses depending on who's in your party. Okay, once all the random interactions, not random, but other story interactions pop up and complete, once you return in Act 5, you will then automatically be sent to this mirror event in Act 5. Aeon gazes at you from across the vast expanse of the universe. You already know why its power has called to you. The demons have been banished from Drezen, but the city still needs to be cleansed. Drezen is inhabited by weak creatures who are driven by their passions and emotions. Each of these lawbreakers believes that their cause is just, and their case is a special exception. They try to justify their actions as necessary, but the Aeon sees all crimes and does not distinguish between criminals. So you can, of course, contemplate whether you have chosen the correct path. And you can see what it says. Basically, yeah, it confirms you're doing things right. Contemplate what you do next. There is only one way to follow the path of the Aeon. You must restore order. As you watch the stars, the mirror follow their perpetual orbits, you realize that you are observing more than just the movement of the celestial bodies. The forces that set the stars in motion are invisible to mortals, but you are able to see them. Eyes of the Aeon are fully open. It gaze upon becomes resolute. Cosmos acknowledge your right, their right to exact justice. And you can seek to understand your power and discern their nature. It says, mortals' souls are no longer a mystery to you. They are entirely transparent. You can pronounce the correct verdicts without hesitation. Drezen must be cleansed of those with weak minds and wills, as well as those who create disorder and stand in the way of justice. You are quite literally judge, jury, and executioner now, as you'll see. You can say, seek to understand your power. The Aeon gazes into your soul. It studies your power, discerning its nature and dismissing everything else. You understand what mortals cannot comprehend. Your power is an essential part of your soul. It can grow and evolve like a living being. The Aeon analyzes different ways your powers may develop. It probes your potential for a complete and final transformation and withdraws its gaze. Your power's potential is too grand and vast for the Aeon to discern. It cannot see your future or discern what you will become. You can walk away from the mirror, step away from the mirror, knowing what you must do. Anyone who violates the right order of things must be removed, not just from Drezen, but from all of Golarion. The Aeon must correct their existence. It's time to get harsh, boys. Okay, so this next part, while it's a little vague, it's actually very, very simple. We got to purge Drezen from the criminals, so we are going to head into town. It's very important. If you don't do this part, it's going to block your other progress and your other events, which when I first was playing through this, I forgot to do this and I was waiting for other things to pop up and they didn't. And yeah, oops. So just do what I'm about to show you. So if you head out of the Citadel and head just straight down, you're going to be coming down here and you're going to be looking for NPCs that when you mouse over them have, for example, like liar in parentheses. So you're going to click on these nobles, and then you have the option, I have the Aeon sees your transgression, admit that you've lied and accept your punishment. And they're going to freak out a little bit, as you can see here. And then they're going to try to defend themselves, but remember, you are here to open a can of Aeon whoop-ass. So when I choose, if you want to go full-on Aeon, accuse you and all those like you of deception and the obstruction of justice. You will be sent to Neroiskin. Oh my goodness, Nero Isen to face trial. From now on, you will only speak the truth. No, please, no. And literally, you banish them from here. I mean, you're going nuts. And then you have the thieves. Same exact thing here. They're going to try kind of beg and explain themselves, so you can read that if you want. You're going to keep trying to defend themselves. And again, you're going to basically banish them. If you're going to want to go pure Aeon. And here we go. And you should go investigate what Mendev is doing with the war funds. Boom. There's 2 groups right there. And then for the next batch of people, you want to go towards where the prison is. You're going to find Oathbreakers. And again, you're going to judge them. They're going to try and explain and talk their way out of it. Again, even though they're going to try and justify it, there's no room for this. And then here again, as a kind of a unemotional Aeon, crime is a crime regardless of its motives. I hereby banish all Oathbreakers from the Crusade. And boom, there they go. And again, this is where you are to do this. And next you have the Marauders. Same exact setup with them. Here's their story and how they try to justify their actions. Here's some more. But again, we're not going to listen to this. You looted the bodies of your dead comrades. You and all like you will be sent to Neroiskin to face trial. From now on, you will only speak the truth. And there you go. We banished them. And then finally, the bribe takers. We talk to them. Same idea. We identify their transgressions. They try to talk their way out of it. But it's not going to work. You and all of the other bribe takers in the fortress have broken the law. You have allowed yourself to be ruled by greed and your desire for profit. You will be sent to Nerusin to stand trial. From now on, you only speak only the truth. No lie will escape your lips. And bam. And as soon as you complete those 2 sections, notice there's no pop-up that tells you you've completed it. But all you got to do is check your quest line. It says, even though through barriers and across distances, the commander can see that the mirror, which has served as a loyal guide for so long, is glowing, trying to say something. So let's go back to the Citadel and see what the mirror has to say. And here we go. Let's talk to the mirror. And then you can say, Drezen has been cleansed. Decide what to do next. You know you have fulfilled your duty, but you are not at peace. On the contrary, you feel there is another distortion in the world. You sense you have become so sharpened that your whole being resonates with the vibration of the next distortion. But where is it? Kenabres, the place where it all began. Memories flash before your eyes. You see the horrible fight figure of the Skari above the building, and you see the brave and daring Karendalev attack the enemy. The swing of a scythe, and her head falls in a splatter of blood, pain piercing through you. The purest of creatures was destroyed by being from another plane. This should not have happened. The very fabric of the world screams against it. Ooh. Shall we save Karendalev? We shall see. Only one who follows the true path of the Aeon can heal this wound. Those who stray from it are powerless. You know this. It is not the ability to see distortions that makes an Aeon an Aeon, nor is it spells and enchantments. It is only fair judgment. Only through the pursuit of impartial justice is an Aeon able to correct the distortions and the flow of time. Everything has been and everything will be, but an Aeon is forever. So that's what you need to do. You can always contemplate to see if you've strayed from the path. It'll give you analysis. Again, Triumph of Justice has been updated. Here, it's telling me I'm doing well. If you've faltered, it will tell you. And so, basically, at this point, if the devil was with you in Act 3, regardless of whether you follow pure Aeon or if you've mingled with the devil stuff at all, this is when he returns. Now, if you're curious in the devil pathway, I have my other ultimate guide to the devil. You can check that out. But in this path, obviously, we're not interested in the devil. Although he will try and intervene. Now, because you're heading down the path of the Aeon, you're going to have Rut. Oh my goodness, I can't say that. The giant warrior towers above you. He's going to show up. It looks as though his entire body has been cast from metal. He gazes at you dispassionately. Subject matches target description. Target identified. The Verath, the Inevitable, greets the commander. Objective: to assist the commander. Assistance will be provided in the form of supplying commander with inevitable class combat until accompanied by axiomatic curators. You can ask him where he came from. The place of my creation is the Axis, the plane of universe, supreme law and order. What is an inevitable? A living machine created to defend the Axis. Inevitables fight against external threats and enemies that could harm the Axis. And you should definitely accept his aid. And he says, the assigned objectives will be completed. Failure is not an option. So this is one of the kind of unique elements of the Aeon pathway. Now you will notice, now that he has arrived, you're going to see these special guards all throughout. So these are kind of, you can think of them as your like Aeon specific, guards. Every single pathway seems to have changes around the city once you kind of go down that path. And of course, you can talk to them if you wish to learn more about it. So that's one element that's unique. And here are the Axiomites. Those are the other elements. So they will kind of be throughout the city. You're still going to have your NPCs where you can buy stuff, etc. But your normal other NPCs are gone. Now let's go ahead and look to the Crusade system, and I'll show you the differences there. Okay, now when it comes to the Crusade system, the Aeon doesn't get anything too crazy, but they do get one unique ability, and it's called Time Manipulation. You can use it every 13 days. And it says, all ongoing decrees, construction buildings, and recruit growth gains, plus 1 times Mythic rank days to their progress. So, for example, on Mythic 10, this would be 10 days. And so this is a good way to fast forward. Like if you're dealing with the Crusade system, you just queued up a bunch of buildings to be built. They're going to be like 5 or 6 days. And then you have some other decrees that are taking like 10 days or 20 days. You can use this ability and it'll just fast forward everything. So also something as basic as getting more recruits to be available, because you get these once every week. So even at Mythic level 7, for example, it would push a full week, and you can do this for free. And this is what the animation looks like. It's actually pretty cool. And so no actual time passes, but the progress on everything does. So that's pretty cool. or decrees and the such. So those are the options for that. Now, at this point, basically what we're going to be looking forward from now on is there are going to be a bunch of timed events that will come up. And the kind of annoying thing is most of them, you're not going to have any messages for them. It's just when you happen to return to the Citadel, they will kind of proc, and I'll show you what they are like. But there is a main story event where we need to go to Kenabres. This is, yes, the first city you have went to. This is what's going to help you basically transcend and get your final transformation. So we will take a look at that. Now again, I do want to point out, when I was doing this playthrough, I was doing a bit of a duality. I was experimenting with the devil side. And for those of you that don't know, in order for you to become the devil or do the devil mythic path, you have to start as either an Aeon or an Azada. So I chose Aeon because it's lawful just like the devil is, but the devil is lawful evil. And so if you completely rejected the devil elements, it's very possible you, again, will not see the devil. What is going to happen, though, that the devil wants you to go to the Bastion of Justice to become a devil. If you basically say, no, I'm going to be an Aeon, you will basically run into him and he will fight you and you have to defeat them. It's not an easy fight. But if you've just been playing pure Aeon and you're not involving the devil at all, you shouldn't have that issue, I believe, and you'll be able to go straight to Kenabres. So let's go ahead and head into Kenabres and see what happens there and then move on from there. All right, now that we are back in Kenabres, we are basically going back to where this all began, where we met the dragon that so unceremoniously got one shot, so that we can see if we can change the past. So let's go ahead in here and see what we need to do. So everything's been fixed up nice and pretty. And as of all the time traveling pieces, we just need to go up to this rift and enter it. And this quite literally is the first scene in the beginning of the game. And of course, these are the demons and hiding.
My powers are not enough here. Someone call for Terendelev. You there! Yes, you! Stop dithering and gawping and make yourself useful! Go and get Terendelev!
Prelate, surely there is somebody else here better suited to running errands.
I'll get her! Terendelev! Has anyone seen Terendelev?
Be quick about it before it's too late! Now, who are you? I don't remember seeing you before, and I have an excellent memory for faces. That's the first I've heard of that name. Who are you, then? What's your business in the city?
My dear prelate, please, for the sake of the festivities, stop interrogating this poor man. He has been through enough already. Go on. I'll take care of him.
All right, as you wish. You are our protector, and a dragon at that. So I shall defer to your wisdom. But be on your guard. I've been informed he was wounded near Kenabres. That means the demons are prowling just outside the walls, and the city is crawling with their spies. Others may be able to relax on this holiday, but not you or I. Not the defenders of this city.
I like how he had to name drop that she was a dragon. Well, I guess. And you are a dragon after all.
Pry loose the grudging grip
Ooh,
of
great
pain.
restoration.
Cast off the veil of suffering flesh. Let light and life go forth in triumph to repel the skulking shade of death. There. I accept your thanks, but my work is not yet done. My name is Terendelev. I am the protector of the city.
Are you really a dragon?
You don't believe me? Perhaps I should retake my true form and engulf this square with my ice breath to win your trust. Pay no mind to my current guise. I appear this way when I walk among the people. I would hamper the festivities if I tried to attend in my true form.
What happened to me?
I do not know yet, and that troubles me. I am not entirely sure what the demons did to you. This wound is no ordinary injury, and it was inflicted by no ordinary weapon. I have rid you of your pain and restored your strength, but only time will allow you to heal fully.
Can I go?
Certainly, but be careful. I have managed to get you back on your feet, but I have not healed you fully. Alas, sooner or later, your pain will return. But do not be discouraged. You will recover, I promise you that. Tomorrow, come to the cathedral and say that you are expected by Terendelev, protector of Kenabres. We will find a way to help you. But for now, put this out of your mind and enjoy the festival. They are all too rare in this time of war, and merriment is one of the best medicines.
And here we are now to change the fate of the world. I greet you again, brave crusader. Did you prefer my company over the entertainment I've been provided? A tragedy is about to happen. The Scar is going to attack Kenabres. You will die, and the city will be captured. Painful wounds and the horrors of war can often beget nightmares, but do not fear. You are safe. The demons can't reach you here. Even the Scar is not all-powerful. Hence, you can answer various amount of ways, but the Aeon pathway is look at Terendelev with the eyes of the Aeon. Heed the words of an Aeon who knows the past and the future. Accept my aid in upcoming battle against the Skari. No Terendelev will understand your message. She will see that your mortal shape, much like her own, are only conventions. You will show her what you see in a mirror. She will look into the eyes of an Aeon and see the universe. Terendelev studies you for a while. You have the eyes of a creature older than time itself. Your breath is as cold as the starlit deserts that lie beyond this world. You truly are an Aeon. I sense that you are not giving me this warning because you care for me, or for Kenabres. You wish to undo this event because it conflicts with the world order. Terendelev looks away and shakes her head. Even I cannot look you in the eye for long. But whatever your reasons for helping me, I am grateful. Together we will endure the coming storm. I'm sure of it.
Discari, Lord of Locusts, leave my city!
Who dare stand against me? I recognize this power.
Aeon power!
This maggot will fall after a single swing of my scythe. No Aeon is powerful enough to stop me.
Alright, and now you're gonna have a battle with the Skari. So, depending on your power, this shouldn't be too bad at this point. I'll go ahead and fast forward to the battle for you guys, and then we'll take a look at the story events.
Begone, fiend!
A mortal gnat snaps its jaws at the Lord of Locusts.
Commander, the day has finally come when I can thank you properly. I was told that you were in Kenabres, so I hurried to the square. I can remember the moment true power descended upon you. I witnessed the birth of an Aeon. Something that no living soul has ever seen. Thank you for allowing me to have this experience. And so obviously this is in the present. It's a year alive, and that means I managed to change the past. She said, looks at us sadly. I remember the conversation we had before the battle. Your timeline, I was too weak and unprepared. I did not survive. The only reason I am alive today is because you saved me. That is difficult for me to accept, but I won't make the same mistake twice. Now I am always prepared for a fight. I never let down my guard. And then what happened after Kenabres? After you saved her? After he disappeared, I continued to defend the city, even though the scar had wounded me severely. Fortunately, he could not summon the bulk of his troops from the abyss. Wardstone bought us the time we needed to survive. Once the scar realized he couldn't defeat us, he vanished. But his demons still poured into Kenabres. It was a bloody battle, but the Crusaders managed to repel the invasion. Crusaders have done their best to rebuild Kenabres. Effort is still ongoing, but the progress is slow. Many of them left Drezen, and that's where we moved the Wardstone. Unfortunately, I couldn't help with the rebuilding process. My wounds left me so weak I could barely move. I've been resting in my lair and regaining my strength, but when they told me you were here, I had to come see you. Sometimes I think about what would happen if the Scar had defeated me and claimed the Wardstone. I imagine Kenabres lying in ruins. Thanks to you, we managed to avoid his fate. I did not have the words to express my gratitude. I owe you my life, and so do many others. And then you can say, what will you do now? Now that I have recovered from my wounds, I will continue to defend the city. This is my duty. Kenabres is vulnerable with the Wardstone. The city needs its champion. Thank you. I am prepared to do the battle ahead. And final thing here is, how did you manage to survive the fight with Skari? Even though I knew the attack was going to happen, I did not expect the onslaught to be so fierce. Never have survived without you. After you disappeared, I kept fighting until reinforcements arrived. I felt the chill of death, and I nearly faltered before the foe, but your determination gave me the strength to keep fighting. And then finally, we can say the balance of the universe is restored. There's nothing left for me to do here. I understand, Commander, but my gratitude is not just empty words. I will send you a band of Kenabres' finest soldiers. Now that I have restored my wounds, I can once again defend the city. And just like that, we're done in Kenabres, and we're going to go ahead and head back to the Citadel to talk to the mayor. So let's go take a look at that. Right now, as soon as you come back from Kenabres, so just head over to your room and head over to the mayor. The mirror emits a cold light. It shines like a distant star. Familiar constellations and unknown celestial bodies sparkle like precious jewels. Names you have never heard before appear in your mind. This is Bretheda, the cradle of moons, resting its sapphire radiance. Here is fiery Liavara, imprisoned by its rings and more, so many, many more. The past and the future join at the event horizon and collapse into timelessness. There, beyond the event horizon, you see an Aeon's shining eyes. The Aeon has been watching you from the very beginning, but now you feel that it is close. You sense that you are finally going to uncover its secret. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? The question echoes in your mind. You are an Aeon just like me. Who asked the questions, and who answered it? You peer into the depths of the universe, trying to find the mind of an Aeon that has been guiding you on the path to absolute truth, but the cosmos is silent. All you see are the Aeon's shining eyes, unblinking and eternal. But you are determined. You have looked into the souls of sinners and saints, and now you turn your gaze to the Aeon. You stare into its eyes, and the Aeon stares back. I know you. I can see right through you. You see the moment of this Aeon's creation, but it is not a collision of galaxies, not a collision of cosmic ideas. You see blurry spots of light and hear muffled sounds. You feel the first pain and the first joy of a living being, its first fury and its first fear. A long string of memories, the screams of the fallen and the grey garrison, the defiled wardstone, and at long last Drezen. You see the banner soaring above the fortress, the dim corridors, and a mirror that suddenly starts to glow. This is how it all began. The Aeon in a mirror takes a step forward, the swirling constellations begin to fade, and though through the nebulae you can see the faint outlines of the room, everything is made of stardust. The universe sees no difference between a giant ball of gas and a commander's table. Does not see a difference between an Aeon born from the cosmos, Aeon born to mortal parents. You exist in all place and all time. You are eternal. When an Aeon is born, it is fully aware of its mission. No one guides or teaches it. No one looks after it. Only the mortal creatures require the illusion of control, the illusion of a higher power watching over them. But you are an Aeon now, and your gaze pierces through the illusion. The Aeon is a guardian of order, but it also guards itself. It is always alone, yet at the same time it never knows solitude. Listen to yourself and find a source of wisdom within. When you were in Kenabres, you followed the Aeon's path, you corrected a grave injustice, but the fabric of time is capable of mending itself. It coils around itself like a snake biting its tail. The wound is a huge distortion and must be corrected. You still have a chance to right the wrong. There is no other way. Now, right after this, it should take you, as you see here, to the main hall here, and you have your Aeon-inspired assistant. And he says, I am here to notify the commander. Restrictions on information sharing have been lifted. The Axiomite God Mind has witnessed the commander's ability to alter the past, and now acknowledges the commander as a true Aeon. The sum of my knowledge is now at the commander's disposal. So you can ask, what made your superior decide that I am a true Aeon? And so I'll leave you be here if you do want to read this. For the most part, talking about everything we've kind of learned. Why are you restricted from sharing your knowledge? And here's the information you want to read about that. You can ask, what is the Axiomite God Mind? So the God Mind is the transcendental council that governs the Axis. The God Mind is composed of 3 shared shards that left the Maelstrom, the whirlpool of energies, and fell into the surface of the Axis. The history of the Axiomites begins with this event. You can ask him where he came from. Access to information granted. You can learn more about Axis, about their inhabitants if you're interested. You can ask about the inevitables. Are there any other inevitables in Golarion beside the ones you have accompanied you? Yep. And here's one at the threshold. Aimezlen. It's imprisoned by Aurelu Vorlesh. And there's some information. Now at this point you're going to notice that so at this point you will have your Mythic 9 event, and I believe you may actually get this right at the Kenabres Square, but I actually didn't see it pop up right then and there. So either way, by the time you get here, you should have it back. And the biggest difference here, the coolest thing, is you get your new portrait. So again, you can keep your old one or change it to the Aeon. Go ahead and do that, and you can level up as you wish. And now at Mythic level 9, it's a bit of a waiting game. You can take a look at all your quests and work on them on the main story, etc. But outside of heading into Is, the rest of the events will be time gated. Alright, so the events that will pop up that are going to be obvious for you are going to be called Aeon's Calls. It'll be just like this. So you're going to have this like strong desire to return to Drezen. So whenever that happens, make sure to head back, and this is going to lead to unit choices or major choices that kind of push you towards the end game. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. And we'll always initiate as soon as you head to town. You head to the mirror. The reflected universe rotates, twisting its coals, lit by distant stars. Your journey has changed you. You look at the spiral of galaxies entwined by the primordial design, and realize your understanding of the cosmos has grown deeper. Your visit to the abyss and your contact with its chaos has granted you an understanding of the foundations of the universe. The whirlwind is no longer as incomprehensible to you as it once was. You might even start to study it, organize it, bring order to its chaos. Any successful attempt to chart its manifestation would deal another blow to the whirlwind. Would you be able to map its planar rifts, which seem to open at random? Is it possible to harness the paradoxical nature of the devastating storms? Could you come to understand how the chaos energies influence materia, negate the influence? Which of these questions interests you the most? So there's going to be 3 different options. So you can basically teach wizards how to subdue the storm of the whirlwind. This is going to open the Air Elemental Decree, allowing you to recruit air elementals, a fast unit effective against flying enemies. Commander and his companions gain the Corruption Resistance feat, which provides 1 rest without increasing level of Abyss Corruption. After the commander has cleansed the corruption from themselves by resting in a safe place. The second option is I will send cartographers to study the planar rifts. This unlocks the Earth Elementals Decree, allowing the recruitment of Earth Elementals. The commander and his companions gain the corruption resist ability again, so it's the same exact thing. Now remember, you already had the option of either recruiting the Water Elementals or the Fire Elementals, so this will be a second one. And your third option is I will learn to reverse the effective chaos of the material plane. And this is the only one that's a little different. We've already seen the stats and how the different elementals work. So those were the 4 different ones. You had already previously chosen between the fire and water, and now you can choose either air or earth. But if you want something different, then you can unlock the Whirlwind Research Decree, allowing you to recruit kineticists. And these guys are interesting because they are casters of spells, and I will be showing them off to you. Kineticist, destructive elemental spellcasters. The commander and his companions gain a corruption resist feat just like before. Now, I do want to point out of these, what makes them so kind of unique is that even though these are kind of, I guess you could say advanced units because you get them pretty late in the game, they don't have a huge XP value, so you can build up a rather large amount of them, and that will allow them to scale on their damage to a pretty high level. And because they will have multiple spells like Lightning Bolt, Scorching Ray, and then they're going to have Stone Skin and Cone of Cold, they can become quite effective. And again, we'll take a look at them. I'm going to choose that one as an option here. Again, feel free to run a full elemental army, but if you want the most powerful option, then I would probably recommend the kineticists. And if you choose that, then everything is reversible, even time itself. You find a way to rid the chaos-tainted materia of the corruption and permeate it. Alright, and then after some more time, you'll have another Aeon's Call event that pops up. So again, as before, just head to the commander's headquarters. As before, you will automatically go to the mirror. The patterns of cosmic forces entwined around Galarian hurts your eyes with its imperfections. Chaos, which should not be present, presses on your shoulders like a mountain. cries out in its strangeness, being completely alien to this world. Perhaps it's time to summon the forces of order to these lands. Launch your counter-invasion to offer the existence of the world wound, to offset rather. On the other hand, on one hand, it would restore the shattered equilibrium, but on the other, wouldn't it violate the original design of the state of material plane? Must always remain the mess of mortals? Yet the existing breach of the cosmic order is already a violation, is it not? Perhaps the time has come to call the forces of the Axis for aid. Open the portal and release their countless legions into Golarion. Make Drezen the staging point for their offensive. Aeon is the reflection patiently waiting for you. So basically you have three options. Like, you can proclaim that the land's the realm of order and the domain of the Axis. So all generals are going to get the Bane of Demons ability. So there's no descriptor of it, but then you have also an option here to basically proclaim these lands as a mortal realm. The law will not be broken. And this will make that all units get resistance 15 to fire, cold, electricity, acid, and sonic, which is nice, makes them quite a bit tougher. Or you can just say, I have no right to make the decision. So it's completely up to you what you want to do. So let's go ahead and just, because there's no descriptor for it as of right now, I'll pick this one so I can show you what this Bane of Demons ability does. You see how the trajectories of planes shifts and the spectrum of the star is distorted. Your words become the spark that gives rise to an explosion, and with an unheard yet deafening clangor, the mechanisms of the cosmos grind into motion. This moment, every warrior of the Axis hears your call, picks up arms, and the spellcasters begin to draw the sigils that will unfold into the portals of the material plane. Obviously, if you choose the other option, it'll be a little different. Now let's go ahead and take a look at that ability. Okay, and here's the Bane of Demons ability. So all enemy demon units take power times power plus 5 d6 magic damage every round. So this is a pretty powerful ability. I mean, the fact that it just occurs, it looks like naturally, it's not a spell, is pretty bonkers. And again, it's just gonna be obviously more powerful the higher power level is. So on this character, my backup army, she's level 1, so that's not very impressive. But if we take a look at this leader here, which he's level 12 at this point in the story. That's level 56. And if you look at that, that's a much bigger. So it's 56 times 56 plus 5 d6 magic damage every round to all demons. And because pretty much, if you notice, it's all demon armies, it pretty much is going to do that damage to the vast majority of enemies. So it's very, very potent. Very, very good. Okay, now after some more time passes, you're going to have another Aeon Skull degree pop up. Again, they're all called the same. They're all they don't hint at what's going to happen. But let's take a look at what choices are going to be given this time. And again, it loads you right into the mirror. You turn your gaze inward and realize that a strange feeling has been living in your heart for some time. Is this a call, a message, someone's cry, directed to you through space? As you go deeper into yourself and embrace this feeling, your sense of self grows more tenuous, while the call grows stronger. With sudden clarity, you realize time for change has come. Cosmos is ready to correct the mistakes made by Arelu of Orlesh. The Bioth Eons, guardians of the borders between planes, have gathered into legion and wait for just one thing, an invitation. If you give the signal, it will arrive to correct the error in the equation. Perhaps you should have done done so earlier. The Axiamites, inhabitants of Axis, have grown tired of waiting for the Aeons to intervene in this conflict. They have assembled a mighty host, the menacing inevitables to fight the tides of chaos that invaded Golarion. but they cannot violate the ban imposed upon them. You must first request their aid. Only then can they help you. You see the two powerful forces standing still as they await your decision. So you have two options, and again, you can't have both because they're very polarizingly different. So the Bythos Aeon should have intervened earlier, so let them do it now. So this unlocks Call of the Aeons. You can repeat this every 5 days, and it'll give you 2 Bythos Aeons that will get summoned. Extremely powerful, 617 hit points, 117 power, 29 AC. So this is a Grand Tier Mythic unit, so this is one of your ultimate unit options. We will take a look at it in combat as well. Alternatively, the wound has unleashed too much chaos in Golarion. Presence of Axis forces will not be a crime, but instead will restore this eruptive balance. And if you do this, you can call the Axis Army Decree. You get 1 Kalayarut Inevitable, gets recruited. And this is an extremely resistant mechanical unit, 634 hit points, 29 AC, got 7 damage reduction, and Battles of the Longsword. So I'll show you this one as well. He is worth, of course, a ton of EXP, so it's going to be hard to get a lot of them, but we'll take a look at them as an option. So pick one or the other. I will, in this case, pick this first one, the Bythos Aeon, as the first option. The cosmic pattern rotates in a cycle of perfect harmony. Flowers of white-hot plasma bloom in black fields of nothingness. Energies, times, and soul flows in intricate currents, interweaving but never merging. This is the grand design. The Aeon and the reflection will not allow the design to be disrupted. It will summon its kin, correct that which needs correction. The Aeon is looking at you, through you, into you. It remains calm because you did everything correctly. You are doing everything correctly because this is your nature. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at these units in combat. Okay, so as a reminder, this is in order to get these Bythos Aeons at the core, you need to just do this decree. It does cost 300 of like the magic resource, so it's not cheap. But so you want to do this, so let's go ahead and issue this decree and just wait 2 days. Alright, so here we go. Here is the ever impressive looking Bythos Aeon. So let's take a look at those. I do want to point out, just like of all high-end mythic units, one of the problems is you start with very few of them, and so it's going to be much easier to scale some of the other units in power than them. But let's go ahead and show them off. I'm also in this portion going to show you off the Kineticist. You'll notice I have 134 of them, so I've been able to get a bunch of these using the ability in the Crusade system where you can basically get a bunch of units for free. I will show you that tactic in just a moment as well. You can use it both on the high-end mythic units as well as any other units, but obviously since it's so slow to get the grand mythic units, that ability is the most useful if you want to get a higher amount of the really impressive units out. Alright, so the first thing you'll notice is the crazy movement of this Aeon. You can go anywhere on the map. It does take up 4 spaces. You have Banishment. It looks like you have 2 versions of Banishment that are available here. You have the spell Slow and also Haste, so it's pretty nice as far as being able to be a support unit. Again, it is a spellcasting unit. Even though it's a caster, it has a ton of AC, 36. It has broad resistances, but I think this is from a choice I made earlier. It has 621 hit points. It's immune to, similar to elementals, poison, disease, stun, critical hits, energy, cold in this case. Can't be stunned, can't be paralyzed. It doesn't have crazy attacks. We'll do an attack here in a second. but it has a slam. Basically, looks like numerous slam attacks that it gets. And then let's see if there's any other hidden elements here. Yes, it does have something called Aging Strike. So the unit attacks apply a -3 penalty to strength and dexterity and constitution. So it will weaken enemies. Now, it looks like it teleports to move as well. So let's take a look at what it looks like when it attacks. There you go. So again, it's not going to take much damage. It's going to be very, very tanky. And even 2 units did some damage, but it's not going to be huge. If you take a look at here, my 546 marksmen are going to do, what, 44,000 damage. Obviously scaling like crazy. And let's compare it to the Axion. And here, obviously, 276. Not so crazy. But again, you can cast your various spells, and it's going to buff the different units, or you can debuff, obviously, the enemies nice and easy. So those are the Aeons. Now let me show you the other unit. And this is the one that can get pretty bonkers, and that's a Kineticist. And so what makes these guys good is not anything initially stat-wise. Melee-wise, they actually hit a decent amount of damage for a little caster. Well, they're Kineticists, so they use their mind. But 80 health, 19 AC, nothing crazy. Their power really is in their attacks, and again, they have 4 different spells. You can cast them multiple times. And what's impressive here is the scaling. So, it uses a combo that is power times d6, but then most importantly, times number of units. So, this can get really crazy. So, for example, 134 units. So, it's power ratings, basically times 134, d6. And you can have 2 different versions. There's a fire version and electric. This is important because a lot of demons are immune to electric damage. So this is more helpful than you may think. And also you can cast Stone Skin as a nice defensive spell, or Cone of Cold. So it has the same ratio with Cone of Cold as the other cast, except this one kind of has a line like this. You can affect multiple enemies. And then let's look at the lightning, for example. So right there, even with just 134 of these, you're already doing upwards of 26,000 damage, and this can scale pretty nicely. And again, you can cast it numerous times, so that's how it works. Alright, now I want to show you the other unit that you had an option to pick. And these are the Kali Arut Inevitables. Now, they may not nearly look as imposing because, you know, the other ones are these giant Aeons. These are kind of these robotic super soldiers of sorts. But let's take a look at what they look like and how they fight. Now, again, they're going to have the same scaling issue as of the other Mythic tier units. But you can also utilize that tactic I just went over to multiply them. These are even harder to level up than the Aeons. The Aeons were worth 750. Mainly, again, the Aeons are like support casters. They're kind of tanky, but they don't hit that hard. These are worth 1375 XP, so they're going to take a lot more to level up. They are immune to just about everything. They have lightning reflexes. They are Demon of Slaughters. Again, this doesn't say what that is, unfortunately. They're immune to just about everything. They have 32 AC, including damage reduction 7, 641 damage. Very, very tough characters. And let's take a look at how they attack. Alright, so here's their movement. Again, the Aeons teleport to the whole map. They do not. Alright, and here's how they will attack. Again, they do 1299 damage, and that's for 12 of them. So you just got to think about scaling. Just like most Mystic units, unfortunately, they struggle with scaling. But they look cool, and again, they're super, super tough. Looks like they have some sort of damage shield as well that they don't talk about. I mean, granted, it only did 12 damage to them. But, so, those are your pluses, your minus. Again, as mentioned earlier, I would probably recommend heavily investing in the Kineticists instead. They can have the spells that scale quite well, and because they're not worth as much EXP, you're able to use the abilities I mentioned earlier to get a nice little army of them, and within a couple weeks you can get hundreds upon hundreds of them to be highly effective. Okay, so now for those of you that don't know about the trick of Call to Arms, again, you can use this with both Kineticists as well as the Bythos Aeons. Now, because the Bythos Aeons are worth a lot more, you know, EXP, you're not going to get as many of them, so it's all based on this number here. You'll notice it says adds units to the target army with a total value of 750 times mythic rank. Unit type is chosen randomly, so from the units present. So you don't want to cast this on your main army. So let's say we want to get more Kineticists, because again, I feel like they scale ridiculously. What you do is go ahead and select your army, select the little eye here, and what you want to do is you want to separate temporarily that unit. And then what you're going to do is you can just move it slightly away so you can target it. I have 134 right now. Fast ability. Now you have 256. That just doubled. And in my video, you noticed that I was doing like 22,000 damage max with a cast. Now that's going to be probably like 40 to 50,000. In fact, let's take a quick look and see, you know, how effective it is. Alright, so here we go. Kineticists, 256 of them now. Now remember, lightning, this is a demon that's immune to lightning. But again, luckily you can do fire, and as I predicted, 48,000 damage to this, up to 48,000 damage. So, very, very potent, very powerful, and you can use that tactic, again, to buff up your Aeons or any other units as well. Okay, so as far as I was able to find out, that's all the unit choices that I was able to find. Now, I do want to point out the only thing that I have not shown here is the repercussions for cleansing Xanthar, or Xanthas, I keep forgetting his name. The one that was the swarm that walks, and as I showed in this video, you can cleanse him and he kind of comes and supports you. He's supposed to provide you with an ability, and I didn't get footage of that. Because again, on my initial playthrough, before I used my load files for this, I didn't successfully complete it. And then when I was doing the voice recording, I did a different choice and I did complete it more appropriately. So, you know, there are some surprises out there left. With that being said, once you're done with everything I mentioned, your next big thing is to go to Is. And so if you go to Is, again, it's down here to the southwest of Polaris Fall. And when you get there, the big thing here is that you're going to have one unique interaction, and that's with the Queen. You're going to judge her as an Aeon. And so if there are any, you know, Gilf fans out there, this is going to be for you. So let's take a look what happens when you meet the Queen and what you can do as an Aeon uniquely. Okay, so when you're inside Is, you're going to make your way to the northwest corner. And when you get there, you're going to go down to the Temple of Stone Manuscripts. And within here, you see the Queen go and attack. And of course, she's going to get wrecked, like she always seems to get wrecked, no matter what path you follow. And so Queen Gaffney says, this place shows sign of intensive use of magic. Bodies in Crusade armor are scattered about, and you see Queen Gaffney lying unconscious or worse at the feet of something standing placidly amidst the chaos. And Erebeth is basically bleeding out, dying. So you have this conversation with Dalmora, and she's basically trying to get you to go to the side of the Skari. So if you're interested in that, I'll let you read that. And so this is pretty standard conversations for the most part. And so you can talk with her if you want, but it's all gonna lead to combat. So I'll go ahead and do combat because what we care about is the interaction of the Queen afterwards.
Your Majesty, Commander, Erebeth Tirabade stands relieved.
Yeah, she be dead.
Erebeth, you saved my life. I swear Mendev shall never forget your name. It's not important. Just win this war, for me and for everyone, so that Mendev may remain, and the world wound is no more.
And of course you can say your goodbyes if you wish, but let's take a look here. Say nothing.
Erebeth, what can I do for you? Tell me. Anevia, tell her I love her. Take care of my Nevi.
And sadly, she
Commander
dies.
Tirabade, we finally meet again.
Ooh, and this is Trevor, by the way. If you have not unlocked Trevor, which is kind of a bit of a secret companion, that's a complete pain in the ass to unlock, and sadly comes with one of the worst class profiles. However, if you want me to make a video on how to unlock him, do leave a comment below, and I'll make sure to do so, because he does definitely look cool, and thematically he's pretty badass. Just effectiveness-wise, questionable.
Farewell, Knight Tirabade. May your road to Iomede's throne be untroubled and swift. You have returned, Commander.
So, to throw salt on the wounds, remember, we are kind of like a emotionless Aeon. So you have a bunch of different options. The one unique option I want to show you guys, and again, take a look at her portrait. She's young and pretty. Well, not for long. If you ever said to yourself, man, I wish she was older, then that would be so much hotter. Well, here is your dream come true. So it's lawful required Aeon Mythic Path. Queen Galfrey, ruler of Mendev, blinded by your pride, you sought to prolong your youth and lead the crusade for all eternity. Your actions are in violation of human nature. Justice shall be restored. You peer at Galfrey through the eyes of the Aeon. Her soul and body are nothing but clusters of matter before you. You will them to connect with the unstoppable flow of time. You watch as the bright lights grow dim. You look at Galfrey with your own eyes once more, and you see the same regal, proud woman with piercing eyes, but the imprints of years is now visible. The sleepless nights, the sorrowful hours heavy upon have furrowed her brow.
So, this day has come. I thought I would only allow myself to age once I had triumphed. But your actions have proven to me that I have grown stagnant in my pride. I thought I was the only one who could overcome the wound. Could it be that all these years I have been blocking the path for someone who truly was destined to win? There's no way to know now. But it is my belief that you will succeed where I failed. Just don't repeat my mistakes.
So there you go, boys. All you Gil fans out there, rejoice. You get this nice old wrinkly Queen Galfrey. And I feel kind of bad for her, man. There's so many different ways it seems like the things can go wrong for her. I highly recommend, if you enjoy something even more extreme, you can go and check out my ultimate guide to the Lich Mythic Path, where you can kill her and bring her back from the dead as one of your undead companions. And she's pretty good, actually, as an undead companion. So that's the main thing here, and you can finish up the rest of his Face the Skari, and it will take you back to the penultimate event, which will be the final big event I'm going to show. Since the ending's kind of unfinished, I don't know, it's interesting. I won't spoil the finish for you guys, but there's a cool little event that all the mythic pathways get when they return to Drezen from dealing with Iz. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So here we are, we return to Iz post Drezen. You'll notice that here are all the Examites and the other guys that can't pronounce their names, as well as the Menda forces. The gates of Drezen are open wide, and the army that came back from Iz is standing before you. Hundreds of eyes are watching you triumphant return to your city. The Inevitables and Examites stand at attention. I guess they're just called Inevitables. They get the, you know, like Kiam Knights or something, but their ranks are just as perfect as the cohorts of your own warriors. Nothing can break your army. No discord can warp these precious formations or wipe the determination from your soldiers' faces. The Crusades of Mendev watch you and your followers with hope and reverence. They greet you with welcoming shouts and enthusiastic salutes.
Welcome. I see you have returned. You once again saved me from death, and our army from inglorious defeat. I may have been the one to call this crusade, but it was you who became its very soul and chief strategist of the entire campaign. All hail the commander! Long live our hero!
And again, you can interact with Anevia, but she's gonna leave no matter what.
But now the crusade must face Threshold. It is time for the final confrontation. The last bloody and decisive battle. Few of us will come back alive. Give us all a few words before you lead us on what is to be our final push.
And then I want to point out the mention of Threshold here. So at this point in the story, you're going to be Mythic level 9. You do receive Mythic level 10. Probably 2/3 of the way through fighting through Threshold, which is basically like your point of no return, which is a little unfortunate. I will show you what you are like stat-wise and everything like that, or not necessarily stat-wise, but the abilities at Mythic level 10 in a second. But do note, if you were confused running around, no, you're correct that you don't get Mythic 10 until that very end point. Let's go ahead and see what the unique options are here as far as interacting with the crowd. The army is waiting for your words, and you don't have to think of what to say. The universe provides all the answers. The Aeon's omniscient mind is aware of the yearning of every soul lined up before you. So you can either say, soldiers, you know what you are here. The wound is disrupting the balance of the world. Order must be restored, and we will restore it no matter the cost. Or, if anyone can defend Golarion and Mendev, it is us. There is no other army, no other chance. We must prevail. This is now or never. Now do note, this is kind of like a neutral response. It doesn't really mention order or anything like that. And then number 3 is, everyone standing here is united by a single purpose to secure victory. If each of us performs our function, victory will be achieved. You must make every possible effort. I'm counting on you. So, because order Aeon, I chose number 1. Thesis supporters, supported. Thesis supported. So logical. And then the demons have sown chaos for far too long. We'll put an end to it. Your options are, don't be deceived. You are not fighting for me. And I will not be your commander forever. After my duties as commander are completed, I will resign and only perform the duties of an Aeon. It will be only just. Now, I have noticed that pretty much all the pathways that are kind of like the high-end mythical ones have you kind of do a choice whether you come back and rule or kind of go away and transcend. And I wonder if that's going to come into play in DLC or not, but you have the option here that you're saying you're going to leave, or Drezen is more than just a fortress. After your victory, I will transform it into a bastion of justice. Golarion is lacking such a place, and I will create and uphold the lawfulness of this world. Anyone who shares my interests will be welcome to join, but first we must defeat the demon. So, pick whichever one you like. I'll pick the bottom one. The X might say this experience will be of interest to the Axis. And then we are ready to die for the order to rule Golarion. And the options are: renounce your passions and your emotions. You are the power. You are the vector aimed at the fortress of Threshold, the point of origin of the world wound, and you will reach it because my calculations are correct. Or, only the power of law and order can protect our world. Go forth and prove it. Or, unflinching discipline is the correctness of victory. Fight like the champions of war that you are, and nobody else will have to perish at the hands of chaos. The top one is very, very Aeonistic. Aeonistic, I guess that's the word. So that's all I'll choose. Silence descends on the square. Your warriors are waiting for their order to march, so any show of emotion would be inappropriate. That which must happen will.
This is where my crusade ends, Commander. Without Beth, I don't belong here.
C'est la vie. Storyteller appears behind you as if from nowhere. Commander, I heard stories of Aeons on my travel. They were majestic and powerful, but none of them had your ability to inspire passion for justice in other people. It is a treasured gift. Make sure not to lose it. I'm glad I was fated to live in an age when an Aeon would choose to take an interest in the affairs of mortals and rule over them. I believe you'll be able to change the world for the better. I think if you chose that you said that you're going to ascend and leave, he has a slightly different conversation. And just like that, you are all set to head towards the final fight. Alright, now at this point, we'll go ahead and take a look at what a Mythic level 10 character kind of looks like. And all the pathways. Now, I've already did a previous video a couple months back going over the initial powers. Now, I'll show you kind of including the kind of portraits, etc. So, this pathway has some interesting elements. Some people say it's not as interesting as some of the other ones, and you know, I won't necessarily disagree. I think that the story and the theme is pretty cool. The power is a little bit more vanilla. You're gonna be able to summon various axiomites and different golems as you level up. So those are pretty cool. A big thing that you have here is going to be your Enforcer Gaze and all the different sub-options you have as you level up. You will start with Aeon immunities at level 3, so immunities to poison, disease, and confusion. You're also going to get an interesting ability called Aeon's Bane. So you're going to make your weapons and spells more deadly against the enemies. For a number of rounds per day equal to twice your mythic rank, you can make any weapon you wield count as having Bane quality. And your spells gain a bonus equal to your mythic rank to caster level checks to overcome spell resistance. And every hit you make with a weapon or spell dispels effects from your target as per the dispel magic effect. So that's really pretty good, especially if you were to like dual wield or have fast attacks. This is gonna help kind of debuff no matter how many abilities an enemy has. You do get an improved Aeon's Bane here at Mythic level 6. You do an additional 2d6 damage if your weapon attacks, and bonus to attacks and damage are increased by 1. And spells and attacks now affect targets with the effect of greater dispel. Now notice it says spells as well. So when you cast offensive spells, you're going to dispel them at the same time, which is nice. And all your summoned creatures receive the benefits of Aeon's Bane. What does that mean? Again, they're going to do additional damage, and they're going to basically dispel. So you're just a massive dispelling machine. You're going to get additional abilities to buff up your Enforcer's Gaze. If you want to see all of the options, I recommend checking out my progression video for the Aeon pathway. I kind of go over all of those word for word, which is really, really cool. And then by Mythic rank 10, you're going to get Aeon immunities extended. So you basically roll automatic 20s on initiative rolls on your saving throws and spell resistance checks against chaotic creatures, which are pretty much all of them towards the end of the game. So this is absolutely huge because not only do you have huge bonuses to saves most likely, but you're going to start with that baseline of 20. So your attacks and spells also ignore damage reduction, energy resistance, and immunities of chaotic enemies. So again, in this campaign, just about everything. And then you can cast your Enforcing Gaze an infinite amount of time, and you're going to have 3 different versions. So like, for example, I had chosen to buff summons. I chose to adjust the caster levels for my people up and enemies down. And then this was buffing and debuffing attacks, but you can choose whichever ones you want. So while again, these may not be the most flashy abilities, they are very, very, very good. And also don't forget that you're going to get Aeon Companion immunities as well. They're immune to mind-affecting effects. So if you end up paying a kind of a summoner or a pet class of sorts, this is going to be pretty darn good as well. So overall, while this may not be the flashiest or the most powerful kind of self-damaging characters, you're not going to be just like a killing machine like the Gold Dragon, for example. But it's still pretty cool. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys also enjoyed this guide. If you do enjoy this guide and want to see more guides, make sure to like, subscribe, comment in the comments below. Let me know what you would like to see. I know these have taken me a little longer to make lately. It's been really busy with the holidays and everything going on. But I am also working on putting together my Golden Dragon video, because I have a decent amount of footage for that already. It shouldn't take that much longer to come out. And then I'll probably put together a fun Zata video that may take a little bit longer. And the Trickster will probably go last, as I actually haven't done a playthrough yet, but I'm going to do it for fun and put together the video focusing on, again, all the unique options and the fun abilities. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. All right, thank you so much for the support, guys. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.